vehicle. I walk up to the hotel. I wait for him to park a car. I go in, I grab a set of keys. I get in the vehicle. I hear, hey! You ever run so fast you fall? Your legs can't keep up with yourself? My name's Nathaniel Smith. I'm from Rehoboth, Massachusetts. Growing up in a small town, a lot of things you get away with that are criminal, but you don't really think of them like that. You're just kind of a kid. You're kind of just breaking the law. I think it's kind of growing up and sowing your oats and
stuff kids do. Set people's houses on fire, stealing their cars.
Yeah, I get into that later, right. But I didn't think I was really a criminal until I got arrested. But looking back, before I came here, I was looking at my life and I was like, boy, second grade, I stole a stopwatch so I could trade it for a pocket knife. I was a thief in second grade. So I started really thinking about it. And then I get into like 6th and 7th and 8th grade, and we're all into trading baseball cards. That's like the big thing in the late 80s, early 90s, right? I'm 44. I was born in 1980. So we had a history class, and in history class, they were showing us how you can take tea leaves and make documents look old, forging documents, right? So in my 6th grade brain, I think, I can do that with these baseball cards. So it's time Topps would like make a Mickey Mantle reproduction card or Phil Rizzuto, right? In the 1989 Topps, it was just a throwback.
All right.
But it looked like the original 1956 Mickey Mantle or the 1951 Phil Rizzuto. You couldn't tell them apart other than somewhere on the back it probably said reprint. So I'd take it and I'd put them in the oven and I'd burn them a little bit and I'd do the tea leaves. And then I would convince friends at school that they were real, and I would get them to trade that one card for possibly their whole collection because they're thinking they got a $5,000 1950s Mickey Mantle. I'll give you everything I got.
Right.
I actually got 2 Michael Jordan rookie cards in my collection from back in those days, just from hustling. From
trading these counterfeits.
Basically, right?
I had a buddy of mine who would take, I guess across them in like a hologram, it would say reprint or something like that. It was like a rookie card or something. And he said, he'd order like 10 of them, and it says reprint.
Yeah.
He would stick them out in the sun. He said, if you do that if you sit in the sun over the course of a couple of days, he said it heats it up so much, and I guess the UV rays lift off the thing and it starts to crumble. He said you basically could just
wipe it off.
He said now I have a whatever, I don't know.
It's probably the Michael Jordan because it's the #1 counterfeited card.
And then he would sell them on eBay or whatever.
Yeah,
just wrong,
Yeah.
Have you ever gone online and searched your name and seen how many data brokers have your information available for sale? These brokers sell your information to spammers, scammers, and anybody that's targeting you. In my day, I had to go out and either survey people, make phone calls, run ads to gather all this type of information. Your name, date of birth, email address, home address, relatives information, but all of that is available online through brokers. That's why I use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura automatically shows me the brokers that have my information and have it available for sale, and they automatically fill out an opt-out request for me. Cleaning up my information helps reduce the amount of spam that I get and protects me from hackers who could use that information to get access to my social media accounts, my bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Recently, AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records have been released on the dark web. AT&T is recommending that those affected use stronger passwords, monitor their account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. Well, Aura does all this for me. And best of all, I don't have to download several different apps just because a company couldn't keep my data secure. If my information was compromised in the AT&T data breach, I wouldn't be worried because Aura is always on. It's always protecting me. I value my privacy and yours. All you have to do is go to aura.com/Matt to start your 2-week free trial. Also, we're going to leave the link in the description box.
Into high school, I was always an athlete, played sports, never the best, but good enough, to make the team, but I wasn't a starter on the team. So I always was involved. I had great parents, both self-employed, both owned their own business, both hardworking. Never saw my dad as a kid, except he'd make it to baseball practice, and then he'd end up at a side job at night. I mean, self-made guy, both my parents, hardworking people, great people. Never saw my mom have a sip of alcohol until I was 21 years old. My dad would, indulge. So they didn't raise us with, drugs and alcohol were acceptable. We were always taught the normal morals of life, know. But I always looked for an edge. I always looked for a little hustle, I played golf in high school. Golf was what I was best at. I probably could have went to college to play golf, but I was a knucklehead. I was a wise guy. I was a little guy. I had a big mouth. I didn't like being bullied, so I would be a wise guy, and that got me a couple of butt whoopings. To learn that the hard way. But so I got kicked off the golf team. Once I got kicked off the golf team, I didn't really care about school anymore. So that's when kind of smoking pot was kind of going around. But I was still like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then I got put into a peer pressure situation, and I tried it, and I liked it. And then so pot became big in my life for a long time. I quit school. I went to work for my dad. And he's teaching me the trade, and now I go from 12 to 15 to 20, and things are good. And I'm learning. I'm able to. He could send me out on my own, so he makes me a subcontractor. I buy a van and I get insurance, and I'm a subcontractor through his company. And we had some in-house, and we dealt with some subcontractors. But he knew for me, best way for me to make the most money would be a subcontractor.
Right.
So that was 2001, 2002. I had met which is now my ex-wife. I met her in 2001. She was just getting out of college and starting her job, and I was kind of rocking and rolling in the flooring business, starting to make some good money. Things were going good. We fell in love, and we bought a house, and did all the things you're supposed to do, right?
Right.
You meet a woman, you get married, have a kid, buy a house, the American dream, right? So they say. I'm making great money flooring. She's a college grad. She's doing well. We buy a house. Things are good, but I'm miserable. Like, just miserable. I never liked the flooring business.
Right.
I did it because I thought it was an honorable thing to do. She decided to quit her job, come work for the company, our company, Country Carpet, which was a good idea in hindsight. Bad idea. Working with your wife is too much time. And then when you're off, you're always talking about business. So there's you just grow apart personally, but you have a business relationship. That's what it turned into, unfortunately. But we did it. And we did it very successfully for about 5 or 6 years. Because it was third generation, we had a lot of good commercial accounts that kept us steady. And then all the residential stuff on top of that, was the profit. And I have a sister, by the way. She's 2 years younger than me. My mom owned a flower and gift shop. Beautiful antique store. She had 6 or 7 florists downstairs cranking out. I mean, she was the only flower shop in town. My mom had a tremendous business, started from scratch. She was a florist at a supermarket and said to my father, I want to do this for myself. And he went out and built her a beautiful place. And she was very successful with it. And my sister wanted no part of it. So like right out of 18, 19, she was gone. She didn't want to be around because if you're around, they put you to work. That's how my parents were, Like my days never ended. It could be 5 o'clock and I was driving home and I thought I was home for the day and the phone would ring and it would be dad or mom and they needed a flower delivery, had to go out or samples had to be brought somewhere. And so I just did it. I mean, I gave my 20s to my parents. I really did. I just thought, well, that's what you do, right? I mean, that's what I thought.
Right.
So my sister ends up meeting this guy. He's a local guy from town. I knew him before she met him. He wouldn't have been my first choice for him, but they got together and I grew a liking to him. He was a tough kid, just one of them kids from the neighborhood that, just was a cool guy, He always was the guy.
Right.
Came from parents that didn't really watch over much of his growing up, so he had a lot of leisures that we didn't as younger kids. So he was kind of a little bit ahead of us, but he was the same age, right? So he was a little more worldly experienced than we were.
Right.
So he was kind of like the cool guy. So my sister ends up with this guy. They buy a house, they live together. He's about 25, 26, starts getting headaches. They goes to the doctor, they look at him, do the scans, they say, you got a tumor in your brain, but it's benign, don't worry about it. Well, yeah, I know, don't worry about it, right?
You're good.
Right, yeah, you're good.
What about
the headaches? They said, but don't worry, it's benign. We're going to operate. We're going to remove it. It's not going to be pleasant. It's going to be a long recovery, but it could be worse. So they do it. He goes through it all. He's a big, strong kid. He's down to about 130 pounds after surgery, but then he bounces back, But now this is early 2000s, right on the opioid, right? Now he's got a brain tumor and it's causing a lot of pain.
Right.
The doctor is just pushing this stuff on him, right? And he's selling it. He was in that business, that line of work. So he's selling them, giving them away, kind of became like a party drug, like, hey, chick, give me one of them Percocets, And so I kind of got like the taste of them, but they didn't really do anything for me. It was like, yeah, that's cool. You feel a little relaxed. So every now and then I would buy a couple from them, and I was a smoker. So they would just sit around, and maybe on a Sunday watching a Patriots game, I would take one, just chill out. And then that turned into, tomorrow I'll try it again and try it again the third day. And before you know it, you're kind of like, no, I don't want to do it unless I got one of those, And I had no idea like these things make you physically sick or anything like most people. So I'm doing that and highly functioning, running the business. My job in the morning would be get there, line up the work, coordinate all the crews, coordinate all the work, load up all the trucks, get everybody out by 8:00. Then I would make my rounds, checking on everybody if they need anything, run for supplies, whatever. By 1:00, my day was usually done, unless I had appointments in the evening to meet other customers, show them samples, measure the house, whatnot. Where I was going with this is, I started taking those, and then, hey, chick, can I, so I'm taking them daily, but I'm not taking a lot. I'm only taking 10 milligram and really not noticing it when it wears off. At the end of the day, smoke a joint, kind of just fall asleep.
You're saying, hey, chick?
Yeah, his name was Charles, but they called him Chick. That was his nickname. I apologize.
I was like
Chick, yeah. No, his nickname was Chick.
Okay.
It was just the nickname they gave him. So I would buy more from him and so on and so forth. And that went on for about a year. It was kind of functioning, not really anything that I thought was...
Your wife's not noticing anything?
She did, and she would take them as well, but she doesn't have that gene, right? So she would, even with smoking weed,
she could care less.
Take it or leave it. Like, sure or no or whatever. Like, just nothing that ever... She didn't even really like smoking pot. She did it if I did it, once in a while. So about a year and a half has passed. Chick's getting these headaches again. Now we're about 26, 27 now. And they bring back the doctor. Tumor's back. This time.
The benign tumor's back?
The benign tumor's back.
Do benign tumors come back? Or just cancer? Cancer comes back?
Now we find out it's cancer.
Right.
And they're gonna operate and they're gonna get it. Don't worry. Okay. So they do the second operation and they said everything went well and he's still getting copious amounts of pain medication.
Could you imagine every 4 or 5 years they go in and they got to remove something?
And this kid, I'll tell you what, he never complained one time. He lived his life when he was big, strong chick, from the neighborhood, and then he was whittled down, sickly. He was always the same guy. Right. It didn't kill his spirit. But they did the second surgery. Of course, with that came many more painkillers. And for a little while, he seemed to be okay. He bounced back, got his weight back. My sister and him ended up marrying. Between the two surgeries, they had married. So now after the second surgery, I don't think it was a year, they say, you've got cancer. And now, let me back up a little bit here. I wasn't abusing the Percocet, so I thought I was taking them just here and there and everywhere. But my sister was abusing them.
Right.
Because they were at her, she was married to him. He had multiple bottles. So for her, it was an everyday thing, multiple times a day. You know, Vicodin in the morning, Percocet at lunch, 2 to go to bed. So before we knew it, my sister had a full-blown addiction.
Right.
And chick was still alive at the time, trying to get her help. She would go to detoxes and she'd come back, and then he'd hide her pills. She'd break the safe open. It was ugly. And eventually they separated, and his cancer started getting stronger. Now my sister has turned down because she can't get chicks' pills anymore. So my sister's running around the streets of Boston while her legal husband is
Dying of cancer.
And long story short, he passed away.
Right.
He ends up passing away at the age of about 27 years old. And now my sister's a full-blown addiction, add this guilt on top of it. And so she's 25. She's going to go to Florida. She's going to, because everyone, small town, she was kind of villainized, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was taking his pills. She turned into a junkie before everybody else did. Because all them same 20 people in this group all battled addiction at one point or another. Maybe one or two didn't. But she was the first.
Right.
So she was
ostracized.
All the girls in the group turned on her. She was just made to be, and this was before addiction was like, now it's like almost like socially acceptable.
Right.
Before it was like, I mean, I was the biggest hypocrite of my sister. Like so I didn't want her around. She was going to move to Florida, start her life over. Everybody's moving to Florida to start their life over.
That's where you get healthy in Florida.
Florida. It's
because there's no junkies in Florida. There's no insanity.
And that's where the pill problem originated was Florida. But
there's nothing here.
We didn't know that.
Good church going people.
Right. Yeah, you must live where I live. So yeah, she goes to Florida after he passes, and we really don't hear from my sister much, other than when she gets locked up, we get an occasional call. She's living in a car. Basically, I don't talk to her at all. I'm like and I'm still taking the Percocet.
Right.
But I'm thinking.
But you're like a functional, high functioning addict.
Right. Because I'm working 6 days a week. I'm working 5 days for the business, and then always had a side job on Saturday. So I was always keeping cash in the pocket. Right. So it wasn't affecting anything. Bills, social life, nothing.
Where are you getting them from now?
I was getting them from Chick.
Right.
When Chick passed away, I found an uncle who had a prescription of 90 Percocet 10s every month. And he was an alcoholic. So he wanted to sell them all. Right. Beautiful. I wanted to buy them all. So
just people helping people.
People, I mean, it's networking. So end up doing that with him. And in the beginning, it was like I'd buy his whole prescription and I would sell half and get my money back. And, it didn't take long before the 5th month. Yeah, I'm running out. I was not even using them all. I'm running out before his next script is due. So now it's financially kind of becoming an issue. Not socially yet. Never really affected work or anything at all. It never really affected the work. But people started to, started with the ex-wife and then family, my mom and dad, because they knew the signs, right? From my sister. She had already kind of tipped them off to the signs. So everybody would ask about me, you okay? But I was doing really well, so there was nothing they were really like to be worried about. Right. As I was hiding it really good. And going back to like not being a criminal when I didn't know I was a criminal was part of covering up the addiction as it was ramping up. I always had these hustles. I always had these little hustles. So I did football cards at the barbershop. I had 3 barbershops. I would go and bring the parlay cards. They would fill them all out. I was the house. Right. So there's a mob in Rhode Island. It's small. It's it's the mob's gone basically, but they do still have their rackets,
Right.
and that's one of them. And they wouldn't like that if they knew I was doing it. But these were little barber shops that were kind of hole in the walls, and I was able to pull it off. So on a good week, I might make 500. On a bad week, I might lose 500. On a great week, I might make $1,000, you know, because most of the time these guys are picking 8 or 10 games to hit the jackpot. You can't pick 8 games on a Sunday if I don't even put the point spread involved, you know? Football is so it's the hardest sport to bet on. And I'm a big sports gambler. So yeah, that was one of my rackets for a while. And I would use that money to buy the Percocet. So it wasn't coming out of the business, wasn't coming out of the house money. Ex-wife wasn't too hip to it. She would catch me nodding out at the end of the day, and she would say stuff. Yeah, and I had reason to be tired. I worked a lot, so she fell for that for a while. My parents fell for it for a while, until they didn't. But so yeah, so I'm buying them from him, and now I'm running short, and so I was doing the card thing for a while, so I had some money, and I'm living off savings, and all the savings is gone. And my new thing is I'm going to grow marijuana, right?
Of course, that's logical.
It's my next most logical thing. I live in the country.
I'm shocked you weren't already doing this. I just assumed that was already happening.
Yeah, I wish I thought of it sooner. So my first experience with that was with a friend who was also into pills. And he was going to finance the whole deal. I was just going to do it on my property, and I was going to tend the plants. We were going to split it. So we got 50 plants. We planted 50 plants outside. We don't really plant them. We just cut a X in the bag of soil and stick the clone, like it's already grown plant, in the bag of soil, and just drop them every 10 feet through the woods with his sunlight. So you don't have to dig a hole, none of that. And then when you're done, you just pull the plant out of the ground, pick up the bag, and throw it away. It's the easiest way to do it. It's like using the bag as a pot, in a sense, right? So I do that. We get done with our first crop, our first cycle. We're like, it's the end of August. We're going to cut second week of September. And I can't get a hold of him. I won't say his name just because I can't get a hold of him. He's not answering his phone. So I'm kind of like, cool, like,
more
don't answer. Yeah. And he's dating my cousin. So that's how I know him. My cousin comes over one night and she says, hey, have you heard from so-and-so? And I said, no, I've been trying to call him. Like, I don't really know what to do here. And we're getting towards the end.
Right.
So what's up? She's like, he was caught in Virginia coming back from Florida with 20,000 Percocets. So he's in jail in Virginia, and we don't know when or if he's going to be getting out anytime soon. I'm like, oh, bummer.
All right.
So needless to say, 2 more weeks go by. I do my research. I harvest the crop. Got about 9 pounds in total. Do you know what trimming and drying 9 pounds of is like alone?
Mm-mm.
It is torture. It is boring. It's tedious. That's why these guys out in California hire guys to come do the trimming when it's that time. I did it all. So now I got 9 pounds of free weed. And I got kids that work for me, and smoking is I smoked daily at that time. So it wasn't hard to find people, right? So I found 3 people that I trusted, and I said, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you one, give you one, and I want $250 back when it's gone on the front, and I'll give you another one.
Right.
So this was great, right? And you got 9 pounds, 16 ounces a pound, multiply that by 9, times that by 250. That's great. So now I'm taking the money as it's coming in, and I'm buying pills. So the ex-old lady is none the wiser. She's just wondering why I'm not like really coming up off this, So the outdoor season ends and I have money left over. I'm like, I'm going and buying lights. We're doing this inside.
Right.
So I set up my basement and I do it inside job, but much smaller scale on the inside because you grow much better quality of bud. So I did this for maybe 3 years, 4 or 5 harvests to finance my pill addiction. And like everybody knows, I'm sure you've heard it a million times on this show, the addiction just ramps up. You start with 1, turns to 2. By the end, and this is when I was taking 10 milligrams. By the end, I'm taking the blue 30 milligrams, and I'm taking between 6 and 10 of them a day at $20 a piece.
Right.
That's a $200 a day drug habit.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty successful to have a $200 a day drug habit and run your life like nothing's going on.
Right.
You know? So little by little, the walls are closing in on me.
What's your wife doing? She figuring she's got at this point.
She's figuring it out. Yeah, the trust issues are gone. Where she's now calling when I'm not home 10 minutes after I say, you know, it's affecting the relationship a lot. You know, she tried to get me help. She said, you know, I went to a detox in Massachusetts. I stayed for now I'm running a business. Clean cut, don't look like a drug addict. They sent me up to Boston to the state fund detox. I go in there, about 15 people. Out of the 15 people, there might be 30 teeth total.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in this room the first night. I'm looking around. This one's talking about robbing pharmacies. This one's talking about selling her cell phones. I'm like, I don't
belong here.
Yeah. I discharged. They were kind enough to drive me home. It was about a 45-minute ride. I come walking in the door. Now, it was 2 days I was gone. I come walking in the door, big smile on my face. My mom and my ex-wife were like, what are you doing home right now? You were supposed to be there for at least 14 days. And then we were hoping you were going to do the 30-day program after it. I was like, nah, you don't understand. Like, these people are losers.
Right.
I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
So, so that goes on. I'll kind of sidetrack here for a second. While I'm starting my addiction, my sister is at the tail end of hers. So she is in Fort Lauderdale, living in her car, shooting meth. But she had this little favorite spot. She'd go cop her drugs, and she would go over to Hollywood, Florida, and she'd go up in this parking garage, and she would do her thing. And this particular Friday evening, she's up there, and she's doing her thing, and Broward County Sheriff pulls up behind her. Gets out, what are you doing? Oh, sees this, boom, 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 locks her up for possession of meth, possession of paraphernalia, I think 3 or 4 charges. She goes to jail for 2 nights. They release her on her own. She's never been in trouble, so they release her on her own recognizance, and she's got like court dates to follow up with. Now, that was a Friday, so she'd probably get out like Monday or Tuesday. The very next Friday, she cops her drugs. She goes to the same spot, same parking garage, same cop. A week later.
How'd you figure it out?
Right? Probably the same time. I didn't ask her. But so this was actually good. It was a godsend. We were waiting for the phone call. She was going to be dead, you know.
Yeah. That's
raped,
what I thought you were going to say. She passed away.
She didn't see my son till he was 3 because I wouldn't allow her around him. That's how much of a hypocrite I was about addiction, right? It can't happen to me. It only happens to losers. So fast forward that, she gets arrested the second time. Now they're not just going to let you out. You are out on a recognizance, right? So they keep her in there. She's in there for like 30 days. She finally, we thought she was dead. We finally get in touch with her, find out she's in jail.
There's her rehab,
right? So she kicks, which is nothing nice. She kicks in jail. In Florida, they have this thing called drug court. I think a lot of states do now, but first time I heard of it was Florida. She does like 30 days in the county, and they release her to a drug court. And she gets out, and she does everything she's supposed to. She checks into her halfway house over in Delray Beach. And for some reason, it stuck. And she did what she got a sponsor. She did all the things they asked her to do. She ended up getting her year sober. She ended up working in treatment. Still sober to this day. She's just celebrated her 10th year.
I was for sure waiting for you to say that, they found her dead,
Yeah. And I wouldn't have knocked me over if I got the phone. I probably have been like, thank you.
Right.
Because we were all expecting it. So she ends up completing drug court. She's got her year sober. She goes into work for a treatment center. She's working there about a year or two as my addiction is now ramping up. It's getting back to her. And I was the worst big brother. In the beginning when I was naive, she would call me, my car's out of gas. Can I get $40? Sure.
Right.
And this is happening frequently, but I wasn't hip to that. So enabling. And my ex was the one that was like,
my brakes are bad.
Yeah.
My tires
She's
are
using you.
Her
car can't run out of gas every 2 weeks.
I was going to say, this car's a nightmare.
Right. Yeah. If it wasn't the car, it was the cell phone or it was something. I want to get mom and dad this. For my parents, we just had their 50th wedding anniversary, but when we had their 25th, she was in the middle of her addiction.
Right.
She tried conning me she planned the party and then tried to hit me with, I spent $2,000 on decorations. I'm like, you had 12 balloons and 8 streamers. I'm like, I'm not giving you $1,000. Like, I know what you're trying to pull here, that was just her. So I wanted nothing to do with her. But anyways, now going down that road and it gets back to her. And they teach you as you get sober, forgive those ones that have harmed you, help the ones you can help. So what she wants? She wants to help her big brother, right? So she reaches out. She's working for a treatment center in Delray. I don't have health insurance at the time because I was paying $1,200 a month for me, my wife, and child to have Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Well, that was one of the first things to go when things were going. When I was starting to really lose it at this point. So I'm still running the business. This is 2012. I agree to it. I said, she's like, it's not going to be like what you saw in Boston. This is a private, it's in Florida. They take you to the beach. They take you to do all these, she sold me on the whole thing. And it wasn't too far off, really.
Okay.
They did do something. But
there'll be somewhere there, rub your back the whole time you go through detox and put a cold compound on your head and rub your feet. And I feel like this.
They were in the beginning because it was such a scam that they would do all these things, and then they would take you to the movies, and then they charge your insurance company $1,500 for an outing,
Right.
So they would do these things because they could double gouge the insurance company until they got hip on that. So this is the first time I come down to Florida. Now, I've had family in Florida, so I've come and gone my whole entire life. And my parents actually built a house in '99 in Fort Myers. So I had always been vacationing to Fort Myers or the East Coast my whole life for family. Florida was like a second state. But for some reason, I always thought like Florida was like no rules. I don't know why I had that in my mind. That's off. Every time I came to Florida, I flew down with an ounce of weed. I did whatever the hell I wanted, and there was never any repercussions. I was only here a week, right? So in my head, I just figured the same old shit I did at home, I can get away with down here in Florida, right? So, but anyways, I do the rehab for her, detox. I do 30 days in this PHP men's program where we all live in this one house, and then you graduate and they separate you into like halfway house, but it's part of the next phase, which is 90 days. And my goal was to finish the 90 days and come home. But they kicked me out. They kicked me out because they said my ego, and they were probably right, because I still didn't think I was an addict, right?
Right.
Because I'm in there I wasn't shooting drugs at the time. I was only eating pills.
Right.
These people are smoking crack. They're doing all these crazy stuff to support their habit. I had the luxury where I didn't have to do that, but that didn't mean it couldn't have been me.
Yeah.
Just wasn't me at that time, right?
You just had enough money to keep yourself hovering above that level.
Exactly. So while I'm there, I made some great relationships like the guy Jerry I was telling you about. But a lot of the stuff was going in one ear and out the other. I was doing time, right? Just for family, to appease people, maybe fix a broken relationship. I had a young son at the time. So I get kicked out of the program, but I didn't want to come back to Massachusetts yet because things weren't good with the ex. And we always wanted to move to Florida, even when we were together in Massachusetts. We always had these plans on selling the business and moving to Florida and doing something we wanted to do. So I get kicked out of the program. I don't tell her I get kicked out. My sister knows. My parents don't. My ex doesn't. They just think I finished it. I get an apartment, month-to-month apartment with a roommate, and he's got a year sober. So I'm thinking, great. This guy's got a little more sobriety than me. It'll be a good influence. He was real heavy on the meetings. He would share at meetings. He was funny. He was from Massachusetts too. So we had that in common. So we moved in together. We're living together for about 3-4 months. Kind of thought he started to relapse just because I could tell his change in personality. But who am I to call anybody out, right? I'm just doing me. I don't know him that well, but we know, close enough to where we trust each other, but we're best friends. So I'm working a night job. So I got home about 10 o'clock, and my routine was I would come home, I would change, and I would go to the gym. So I came home that night, and the bathroom door was shut, and the light was on, TV's going, his bedroom door's open, mine's shut. I come in, I sit on the couch, I'm watching TV, just waiting to get in the bathroom to kind of freshen up. 10 minutes has gone by. I'm like, yo. No response. Nothing. I almost got up and just went to the gym. I'm like, this guy's doing what, who knows what he's doing in there, right? We'll give him some privacy. So I had to go by the bathroom door to go to the front door. So as I go by the bathroom door, I'm like, yo, nothing. I go, hey, boom, 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 nothing. He don't have a car, so I didn't know if he was like home, not home, right?
The door's locked.
Jiggle the handle, it's locked. What's going on? Boom, I busted open with my shoulder. His feet are by the door. His feet were up against the door, holding it shut. Mm-hmm. His head's between the tub and the toilet. He's blue like a Smurf. I've never seen this in my life. I've never experienced this. I wasn't.
Is he done? Is he dead?
He was.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought he was. Like, I couldn't even dial 911, right? So I called 911. I made the big mistake when I called 911. I said I think my roommate overdosed.
Right.
Delray Beach is like the rehab capital of the world. They get more overdose calls. They have no sympathy for overdose. Right. I'm running out to the parking lot to meet these guys because it's like a windy way in. They're just sloughing.
Right.
Another day on the job. I'm like, there's a guy dying in my apartment. Right. Like, they go in there, lips are purple, face is blue. They grab him by the ankles. They just dragged him out in the living room and hit him with Narcan a couple of times, and his eyes opened up. As they got him on the stretcher, his eyes opened.
They're professionals.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that. It's fine.
They're like, no, we still got 15 seconds, 12 seconds, 11 seconds.
Still got some brain function there.
Yeah. So thank God they saved them. Now, that was my first experience with any of that because I wasn't into the needles at that point. So that was kind of like scary. He ended up having to go back to treatment. I couldn't keep the place by myself. I said, maybe it's time to head back to Massachusetts. I'm still sober. I mean, I got like 4 months, I can do it. Yeah, right. Sure, I can do it. I'll still have all the same numbers in my phone. I drove back to Florida because I had a car down in Florida. So I drove back.
Did your wife think that you were in a rehab the whole time?
Yes. She knew I got an apartment when I got out of the rehab.
Okay.
She did know that because I wasn't coming home right yet. So we were figuring stuff out. So I said, yes, I'm going to come home. Because we had a house up there. We had to figure out we still had finalized a lot of things, right? So I had to go back home. So I go back home with all intentions of staying sober. Like I had 4 months. When I got through the withdrawals, I felt better physically, but mentally I was still obsessed with wanting, because I'm sure you've heard it explained, and for everybody it's probably different. But for me, opiates numbed all emotion. Okay. I didn't worry about, I didn't feel, I wasn't sympathetic. I wasn't romantic. Didn't feel pain. I could work 16 hours. I was in a good mood. I didn't mind getting back to people's emails, phone calls late at night. I mean, it just kind of was like a super drug, right?
Right.
I was like, wow, this is great. You know, I want to figure out how to make this work. I don't want to stop doing them. I'm going to figure out how I can do this and it not negatively affect my life. Maybe I'll just do one a day and it won't be so bad.
Right.
So I come back.
You need a dispenser.
Yeah. I wasn't in South Carolina before
like one of those hamsters who's waiting for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, it's like if you've ever seen
they basically wait by the machine for the next 24 hours.
If you've ever seen like the cocaine test they did with rats or mice, same thing. Like they know when it's coming and they're like, they're just waiting for it. They don't even want the cheese. So they're just waiting for the cocaine, right? Same thing. So I'm not even in South Carolina. I leave Florida with all good intentions. I'm in South Carolina. I'm already romanticizing. I'm going to get pills. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to stop in South Carolina tonight, 8 o'clock. I'll get back on the road. So I should be in Massachusetts by about 8 o'clock the following evening. Okay. So I'm driving and it's obsessing. I'm picking up speed. I'm going 75 now, 90. I want to try to get home before 8 because I know this one drug dealer that's always got them, but she goes to bed early, right? Right. She's got a job. So I end up making it into Massachusetts. I don't even go home. I go straight to the dealer. From the apartment after rehab to Massachusetts, telling her, yeah, I'm coming through Connecticut as I'm in Rhode Island, you know? So she's thinks I'm an hour behind. I go past my house, go to the dealer, get my couple of pills, take one, go home. I'm feeling like $1 million, you know? It's like she hadn't seen me in a few months, so things were pretty good. We're catching up. My son's 3. You know, he missed me. I missed him. Playing, catching up. She thinks I'm sober. She's proud of me. Little did she know. Right back off. I mean, I might have bought 3 that night. It just went right back to the same thing. But now I'm not in the financial situation I am. She's got control of almost all finances. So now I have to sell some things. But when I was successful, I was always a wheeler and a dealer. So I had multiple vehicles, dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, toys, baseball cards, coins. I mean, I would buy things on hot sale, not hot sales, stolen or anything, but say you just needed money and wanted to sell it. I always had money on me, always, because I worked from the time I was a freshman to the current state. I always had $1,000 in my pocket for that reason. In case you had a $3,000 vehicle, but you were willing to take $1,000 today,
right? I
got it. You know, I always had $1,000. When things were good, I always kept $1,000 in my pocket so I could take advantage of not people, but situations, right? Guy who's got the cash gets the
whatever
deal.
Whatever gets you through it.
This house
whatever you have to sell.
Okay?
In case some guy's down on his luck, ready to quit claim his house for $1,000 and a couple of boxes.
Hey, you know?
I need to be there.
Right.
Helping
thank
people.
God we didn't know each other. Thank God we were in 2 different
You're just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You're just trying to help people.
God, I would have been your little protege. Matt, what do I do next? What do you need?
Go in the bank, say this.
Exactly.
Sign the documents.
And you know, it's funny is one of my big guys that was in the baseball card fraud game with me was my best friend at the time. Shout out to Greg.
Sure
he was a mortgage broker.
He wants recognition.
No, he's hot shit. He was in the mortgage business and he did some scrupulous things to get himself a very nice house when he certainly couldn't afford it, but he was successful enough and rode the ups and downs, and he still got the house today. Greg did very well for himself. Greg was the kid who was the best looking guy in school, the best athlete in all sports, and he was the third of 4 brothers, and they were all that way. Every one of them was best looking, quarterback, basketball player, pitcher on the baseball team. They're that family, you know?
Right.
They were just studs. And so, I forgot why I meant, Greg was in the mortgage business, but that was his connection to you.
And the baseball card.
Yeah. And me and Greg, our first dry run was on his older brother, and it worked like a charm. So we knew we were onto something.
And we don't talk anymore. But
no, he ended up stealing a lot of my cards. Greg was a slime ball. Greg, you're a slime ball. In a good way, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, Greg was always out for Greg.
There's no slime ball mortgage brokers.
Yeah. He was just, to this day, I wouldn't doubt he's narcissistic. And I probably am too. And you probably have a little bit of it too.
No. I mean, don't throw me in that category.
I think it makes a little bit of narcissism you need.
Yeah.
I think. I mean,
Well, most successful people are.
Right? Yeah. I mean, and Greg was very successful.
And feel comfortable enough to get in front of a camera 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
You got to have something.
Right. Even to take the chance that you did with all this. I mean, yeah.
It's working for me now.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've done.
I mean, except for anybody who has to have a relationship with me. I feel bad for those fuckers.
Which kills me when you tell
they're all miserable. I'm
your
good.
Story about the ones that won't talk to you.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, come on. Life goes on and you don't know what's around the corner for you, you know? You know what? Yeah, it's easy to speak on things. Like it was easy for me to call my sister all these terrible things when I didn't understand it until it happened to me.
Right.
You know? And then she's the one that's coming to my rescue, right?
Right.
Ironic. It's kind of crazy, but
I don't think any of these people are coming to my rescue. No. But if I hear you,
right. But yeah, I was tough on her, but she knew it. She had now had a few years sober, and she knew it wasn't it. It was the disease really more than the person. You know, and there's an argument to be made, but so back from rehab 1. Nothing changed, except I got a plan this time.
Right.
Now she's met a guy, and he's sober and clean too, and his brother.
This is your sister,
my younger sister. Now I had gone back home after the first time she tried to get me help. She thought I was doing good. 6 months later, she finds out I slipped right back into it. She, in the meantime, had met a boyfriend. And they were getting serious. And they were from Kentucky, both addicts, both came to Florida, both got sober. Travis was about a year or 2 ahead of my sister. Travis is the older brother. Justin is my brother-in-law. Great guys. Travis got sober before Justin. And in the early 2000s, smart guy, got sober with the right guys. And they opened a laboratory for the testing of the drug tests for these rehab centers, right? So they would send them to them, and they would build the insurance company. And within a few years, Travis became a millionaire. And he took that money and he opened a rehab center. And every time he would make money, he would open another one. And now he has, don't quote me, I know he has at least 2 in Florida that he's a partner in. He has 1 in Tennessee, 1 in Kentucky, and Tennessee, Kentucky, and there's one other one. There's like 5 or 6 of them now that they have going. So anyways, the second rehab, she gets me down in 2014 to go to her boyfriend's brother's rehab, another freebie. They're going to do me a favor, another freebie. Because these are like 40 grand, right? To go to these private places. So she gets me in, gets me down there for free. I come down, I go to detox. It was awful. I did like a week out in Okeechobee in some house with a bunch of wild people. And then they shipped me down to the center in Fort Lauderdale. And I did I think I did 30 days in that program. And then again, they send you to a halfway house associated with them for another 90-day part of the portion. And in this time, you can work and you can kind of reintegrate back into society. They try to, but you got to go to meetings and you got to go to some therapist and you have these things.
Drug testing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Drug testing, breathalyzers at 9 at curfew, so on and so forth. But getting a job was adamant. You had to have a job. You couldn't just lay at the pool all day. So
Lay at the pool. Like, where is this?
Yeah,
Like, Jesus,
I know. This one's out of business because of some shady dealings, but nothing to do with the brothers, but the partners. But yeah, it was probably the nicer of the two that I went to, and so I went over to the second phase. I was there probably 60 days. I had gotten a job at the Westin Hotel on Fort Lauderdale Beach as a valet. And
what year is this?
2014.
Okay.
This is 2014. And I got maybe 4 months sober. And they hired me. It's a $10 an hour job plus tips, right? And nothing great, but tips, you could do pretty good with tips. And I immediately figured I got to get some kind of hustle with this, right? So when you valet your car, if you leave money in your car, if you left a $5 bill and it was gone, you'd know it was gone.
That's a
right?
tip.
But nobody misses.
Tip?
Nobody misses change.
Okay.
So every car I would park, I would take $1 and change, and I would put it in my backpack. So if I parked 40 cars, I made an extra $40 on top of the tips.
Nice.
Plus,
this is back when there was change.
Right. Yeah. Plus, another scumbag move, I would always keep a $1 bill in one pocket, and then when the customer tipped me, I would always put it in the other pocket. And when I went back to the booth, because we pooled our tips, I always took the one. No matter if the guy gave me a 50, a 10, or a 5, I always took the one and put it in the thing.
Gave me $1.
Right. So I had to kind of do my little hustle.
So I gotta tell you, I have a buddy who was a valet at Brickell, in a hotel in Brickell. One time, he gets a car, pulls it in, and he said, I pulled the vehicle in. He said, in the parking garage, you drive up. He said, when I stopped the vehicle, he said, you stopped. He said that the parking is cockeyed, right? He said, so I ended up parking, pulled up somehow or another. He pulled up and he's hitting it. And as he's like hitting the one level after another, and he pulls up and parks the car, he said, I shut it off. I go to get out and something hits the back of his leg. Because I lifted it up. And I looked down, and he said, it's a bundle of money. He said, I don't mean like a bundle of money. He said, I don't mean like it was like one stack. He said, I mean, it's stacks and stacks of rubber bands.
I would have just took that and walked out in the garage and never came back.
Thank you. Yeah. Right? Okay, so it's not me. Absolutely. I was like, oh, that's a tip, bro. That's 100%.
Done. Prove to me that was there when you parked your car.
First of all, what are you going to say?
Right.
Are you calling the cops and saying, hey, I had $500,000 tucked under my fucking... You're not going to say shit. And, he was like, I said, what'd you do? He said, I just kicked it back up there. It freaked me out. I go, what? I said, you didn't take it? He said, no. And he said, no. He said, because, when they get out, what if they check? They're going to know that I drove the car. I don't give a fuck.
It says right on your ticket, out of every valet, to this day, any valet you go, it says, we are not responsible for whatever is left in your vehicle.
I think these guys appeared to be potentially drug dealers, and he felt that.
Like they would come back for him.
Well, he was saying that these guys will, he's like,
they'll figure it out.
He started throwing in, I got 3 kids, a wife. I'm like, you don't even like your wife. And those kids, $500,000. Come on, I can get new kids.
Well, I parked
$500,000.
I parked a car with a couple guns in it.
You can get I think you can get Brazilian kids for like $10,000 a piece. You can ship in some Brazilians. I mean, this is $500,000.
Probably get them cheap.
I told him, I said, bro, what do you think? He's all freaked out. I go, listen, at the very least, I would have opened it up and pulled some of the money.
Right,
they'll figure that out later. Maybe later tonight. Maybe, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, nothing.
Fuck. Yeah, you got to take advantage of those.
See, I feel this is good.
We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. Okay. Colby's just going to leave, and he's probably going to tuck it back up, and then tell the guys like, listen, you need to make sure it's secure.
Yeah, next time I would recommend you. Yeah,
I kind of do a little bit of a funny story like that.
Okay.
I was at the casino and I was playing on the machine, and there was a $100 bill stuck in the machine, and I couldn't put anything in there, so I called the service attendant, and they came to get it out, and they got it out, and they handed it to me, and I was like, here you go. I was like, oh no, it wasn't mine. And they asked me if it was mine.
You're a good man, Kobe.
And they said, oh, they looked at me, they're disappointed. They're like, you should have said it was yours.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I guess I just assumed they were going to give it to me anyways, but then, they just had to.
I don't understand. Yeah. that's not a good man. That's just, what are you thinking?
You're
There's
right.
no good man in that situation.
No, because you know who got it? That
guy was
the
like,
casino attendant. He went, "Oh, it's not yours."
And then,
well, it's mine.
Pulled
then.
a dollar bill out of the other pocket
And said, "Hey, I thought it was a
got
dollar,
this dollar
Jim."
bill.
Yeah.
Listen, I knew something. Let me tell you real quick. And once you get back, this is just funny. I remember this. I think I've told this story before. I was dating this chick who was a stripper. I don't know why I have to tell you that, but anyway,
sounds better.
Yeah.
It's a good hook.
Yeah.
Nobody knew she was a stripper, but we were both going to college. We were living together, and we used to have, my mom used to have a family dinner like once a week, and everybody came. And so my sister, a month or so beforehand, had lost her her engagement ring. And so we go there. Have you ever heard this? So we go to this. So we're at dinner and we're sitting there, and my mom says, "Oh, did you ever get, because so State Farm, she had a policy.
Sure.
State Farm's supposed to give her like 12,000, 15,000, let's say 15,000, whatever, 15,000 to go get another ring."
Yeah.
And she says, "Oh, did you ever get a new ring? Did you get this check from State Farm to get your new ring?" And she said, "Oh, no, I didn't tell you. Oh, Mom, this is what happened." She said, "I lost the ring. I claimed it with State Farm. They sent me the check, and and we were going to go and look for new rings." And she said, goes to pick up her son. I want to say it was Jake. My nephew goes to pick him up from school one day and walks, as he's getting in the car, he said, "Mom," he said, "you got to park. My teacher wants to see you." And she goes like, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
Parks the car, walks in. She says, "What's going on?" Jake said, "You wanted to see me." And she said, "We had a show and tell kind of thing, where we talk about what we're doing in the weekends and this and that. And Jake had said that you were supposed to go pick up another ring. You had lost your engagement ring a couple months ago, and you and your husband were going out, and that was something they were doing this weekend." And she said, Yeah. And she said, "What type of a cut was the ring?" And she said, "Oh, it was a 2-carat or whatever, diamond, whatever the cut is, princess cut, whatever." Yeah. And she said, "Okay." She said, "What kind of gold?" And she said, "Oh, no, it was white gold or whatever, platinum band, the whole thing." She goes, "Does it look like this?" And she went, "Oh my God, that's my ring. Where did you find it?" She said, "I don't know how, but I walked to my car after school a couple months ago." And she said, "It was I saw it on the ground. I picked it up. I realized I brought it home. It was real." And my husband's like, "That's real." Brought it back, and it's been sitting in my desk or in the, lost and found, whatever. And she said, "Here's your ring."
What an honest person.
What an honest person all around.
Yeah.
And, good. And listen, and this country is made up of those people, and God bless them. So I sat there and we're listening, and my mom said, "So, she's like, I got my ring back." And I went, "Sweet."
Yeah.
I said, "And you got the check from State Farm." Everybody in my family, keep in mind, there's my brother, 2 sisters, their spouses. I mean, there's like 12 people sitting around this huge table my mother had. They all look at me and they go, "Well, Matthew, she can't keep the check. She got the ring back. That's what the check was for, to get another ring." I go, "Right." I go, but State Farm
don't know that.
State Farm doesn't know that.
Right.
And I look at her and they went, "Well, that'd be dishonest." And I just remember thinking,
because insurance companies are the most honest
are you people like
entities out there?
I'm not. We're not. And my girlfriend looked at me at the time, like she's looking at me too. And I just was like, "Yeah, okay. Oh yeah. I wasn't thinking." I'm like, okay, clearly my reaction isn't correct. So I remember, listen, as soon as that whole thing died down, I turned around, I said, "Is something wrong?" She goes, "I don't know what the fuck's up with your family." She said, "I'd have taken that 15,000 and pocketed it and kept the ring." She's like, "I don't know what they were thinking."
Would.
Oh yeah, but they're not listen, my dad, one time, I had a deviated septum and went to a doctor that he knew. They were both in AA. Go to the doctor. They put you under. They break your nose. You know how they do it.
Yeah.
So they do the whole thing. Well, when the check comes in, or when he goes to bill State Farm, we had health insurance through State Farm. My dad worked for State Farm. Goes to bill State Farm. He calls my mother and says, "Listen, what's your deductible?" And he says, she goes, where I'm about to bill them, what's your deductible? And she goes, oh, it's $1,000 for the surgery. And he goes, oh, okay. And she goes, why? He said, well, I'm just going to bump up my fee to cover the deductible. That way you don't have to pay me the deductible or pay State Farm, and we're flush. And my mom went, you know what? Don't do that. She goes, wait a second. She goes, let me call my husband. Calls my father, tells him. My father calls him back and says, absolutely, do not do that. He said, I'm paying the $1,000. It's my deductible. I'll pay it. Do not bump that up. And he said, this is a doctor.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. And so then that night at dinner, they're talking about it. And they're like, can you believe he would do that? And I'm sitting there thinking,
I can't believe you said no.
I'm at 22 years old, and even I know, Dad, this sounds like just the way things are.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're going against the grain here.
Yeah.
But no, that's just who my parents were, just good people.
That's mine were cut out of the same cloth.
Yeah.
They're on their honeymoon, driving to Florida. A prisoner escapes out of Walpole State Prison in Massachusetts, steals a police car, flying down 95 South, rams into my parents, drives them into the woods, totals the vehicle and the cruiser, gets out. My parents thought it was a cop.
Right.
So they get out to help. This guy gets out to run. This is like 1976. Come to find out, it was an escapee, yada, yada, yada. Do you think that they called a lawyer? They'd have owned the city. I'm sure.
The ambulance shows up. They say, we're fine.
The police department. No, they didn't go. They didn't get no medical, nothing. No, they just. I'm like, Dad, you probably had a $500,000 lawsuit back in the 70s.
Sometimes whiplash takes a few days. Yeah, so even if you said,
I think he kicks himself for that. I think he's played that one a few times.
Oh no, I'm fine. Some people you just can't help.
Nope. And
do-gooders.
Yeah, it's like who's keeping score? At the end of the day.
Come on.
In an insurance company, any chance.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah, they're all playing by rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, I'll tell you, I got another one. And then I have to go to the bathroom. But listen, I got this one. This is insurance companies, by the way. Okay. So I bought this piece of property one time. I won't go into the whole thing because that's actually another funny story. It's fraud. Anyway, I buy a quadplex. And so as I'm buying it, they were in the middle of evicting someone. And basically I'm buying it. They're like, look, we're going to have the eviction like tomorrow. We can either close today and say nothing and let us evict them, or we can hold it off a couple of days, until I go, we'll close today. Just the guy won't know, whatever. So we close. The next day, the guy gets evicted. The cops show up. The old owners actually show up and throw him out. The guy leaves, gets into his car and leaves. He drives down the street. He gets a gallon of gasoline. He comes back, walks into the house. They don't change the door. He walks back into the apartment, takes the gasoline, pours it all over the place, lights it on fire, gets in his car and leaves. The neighbor sitting next door in a duplex, who's in a wheelchair, who does nothing all day but stare out her window, sees the guy leave, watches the eviction, watches him leave, watches him come back, watches him walk out, get in his car, drive off, notices there's smoke billowing out of the apartment. She's like, maybe I should call the cop. Let me write this guy's tag number. I mean, I know him. I see him every day for the last 8 months. So calls the cops. This is the guy. I have his tag number. He walked in. You guys just evicted him. So clearly arson. I end up, the insurance company, I end up getting a phone call, what's called a public adjuster. Calls me.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, listen,
I can itemize everything in that place and get you.
Yeah, I can get you more money and blah, blah, blah.
Fork, knife in that place.
Right. I can get you more money. The insurance company don't take their first offer.
I had a house fire too.
Right. Call me back. But it's legal. Call me back. And he's like, call me, so once they come, call me. Okay, fine. The guy comes, he gives me an offer. It's like $32,000. And I call the guy and I'm like, it's $32,000. And the guy goes, yeah, give it to me. He said, look, I want 10% of whatever I get you. He said, if I can get you enough to cover my extra 10%, is that cool? I said, yeah. He said, I'm literally 10 days. Give me 10, 15 days, whatever. Give it to him. He comes back, $59,000. And at first I'm like, bro, I don't know that you're going to get me anything more than this. I don't want to drag this out. He said, no, it'll be real quick. He said, you don't seem to understand. He said, you're paying on your premium If anything that smoke touches in that entire apartment, anything, if there's a fire, all the drywall has to be replaced, including the ceiling, everything. He says, but that's not what they do. What they do is they don't pay you the $8,000 to pull out the old drywall, to re-drywall it, to replace all that. They don't pay you for that. They say
for the drywall.
No, they pay for the paint. Now you can put kills on it and paint it and this and that. Here, that's going to cost $2,000, not $8,000.
Right.
Plus on the $8,000, I also need a new paint job. So I need another couple grand. There's
Right.
10. And then it's like, also, then they also have to replace all the insulation because they have to replace all of the duct work because the smoke went through the duct work. They have to replace anything. That whole thing has to be gutted because that's what your premium's based on. But when the insurance adjuster comes in, he says, oh, you need some new carpet and paint. They can wipe that down. We can resurface all of that.
Yeah.
You don't have to have that replaced. No, I do. Because that smoke smell gets into it and it destroys it. Now I've got my whole place smells like smoke. But most people don't know that.
Right.
He said, so I'm going to go through and I'll do it the way your premium's based. And so he did. He went in, he did the whole thing. He tried to give it to them. The guy argued, that's not true. Starts trying to go through and he says, okay, look, he said, let's just go to the insurance commissioner and I'll explain. And we can send him what you just sent me, the emails you just sent me. We'll send the insurance commissioner all that. We'll see what he says about what you're trying to do to my client. Of course, he comes back immediately like, okay, where do I send the check for $59,000, right? So he sends me a check for $59,000. But I mean, that's what an insurance company does. An insurance company, you get into an accident, the adjuster shows up right away and says, look, you know what? You're hurt, you're this. We're going to go ahead and give you $10,000. Then you go get a lawyer and you end up getting $500,000 or $1 million. You're like, you're going to give me how much? Like, bro, come on, bro. Like, what do you fucking do?
That's what I mean.
And you charged me for the premiums. Like, I've been paying based on these premiums.
That's why I told my parents, I was like, any chance you get to get the insurance company to pay you, you take it.
Yeah.
Because how much in your lifetime have you paid insurance companies? From life insurance to homeowners insurance to liability to health insurance, car insurance. I mean, all we do is pay insurance.
Yeah.
So if you're in a position where money is owed to you by an insurance company, you go get it. And by any means, get a lawyer if you need to. That's how I feel about it.
Oh, listen, yeah. I'm getting next car accident I get in, it's going to be, I don't know if I might roll out of the car. I mean, I feel bad.
Yeah.
I feel bad. You got the whole state. I'm sorry.
You better hope that that driver has insurance in this state.
I have uninsured motorists. I'll sue myself. But anyway,
There you go.
Listen, I know I'm big on insurance.
Yeah. I just had such a small mind. You know, I never, such that small town, small mind. Work hard, save your money. You know, like you didn't dream.
That sounds like it would have worked.
Yeah, probably would have.
You went off in a different direction.
Yeah, probably would have. But you know, it all comes back to not being happy, and that's why you start searching for stuff, and that's when you find stuff that can be detrimental. When you're looking for something to help,
right,
and you don't know what you're looking for, you can find yourself in the wrong end,
right,
of life. But so we were back. We were at the Valet. We were talking about your buddy there found the money and turned it in like a dummy. So I would do the coin thing because I was always afraid like people would set traps with like bills, leave $3, $4, $5, $10 and then it's gone. Make a big stink. It wouldn't get fired. They could never, but it would just be a bad light on you, right? So I did this job for about a month. And I was about 4.5 months sober, doing good, loved the job, having a ball, really enjoyed the job. It was fun, a lot of exercise, because you're 4 floors in the parking garage and you're running back down to get the next car and bring it back up. You're constantly moving. The shifts went by fast. I still wanted to get high, something, and drinking's never been a big thing for me. So it wasn't like I was going to go get a beer and watch the sunset.
Right, and that was going to do it.
Right. So, have you ever heard of Kratom?
Yes. Yeah. Remember the guy I did the Smiles for Days?
The nurse guy.
Yeah.
Yes. So I knew exactly what he was relating to when he talked about the withdrawals. They're no different than a Percocet or withdrawals, but they sell this stuff at head shops and vitamin shops. Some places you can buy online. So I had tried it in the past, but when you were doing pills and you try it, you don't even really feel it. But if you're sober and you try it, it feels like the next best thing. It's not quite what you're looking for, but it's in the same family of euphoria, a little extra energy, a little better mood, So with Valet, it was like good, because now I'm extra chatty. And we got a lot of regulars, and if you can strike up first name basis with these people, your tips get better. It's just a hospitality business. It's moving and shaking and how you take care of people. And I also so it was $25 to valet your car per night at the Westin. And it was also $25 if you wanted to day park for the beach. So I would always screen my customers. When they would come, I'd say, hey guys, you staying at the Westin? Oh, no, we're just going to park at the beach. You are? Well, hey, it's $25, but if you give me 10,
right,
I'm going to go park your car. I'm going to give you your keys. When you leave the beach, come in the backside of the parking garage, find your car and just drive it out. No one's any wiser. I just put $10 in my pocket. They just saved $25.
Right.
If I do that,
they say 15.
15, right. If I do that on
no tip though, because they get their car.
Right. But I get the $10.
$10,
so
yeah.
Do that one or two times, that helped. And now I'm doing the Kratom. They test for that.
They test for Kratom?
Oh, I got a better one a little bit further down the line. Yes, they test for Kratom. And they test it. And because I was a scholarship, I didn't pay to go. I didn't get like hey, Kratom's not allowed. We're going to watch you and make sure it's not in your system and, just don't do it again. It was pack your bags. You have 24 hours. No, pack your bags. You have like 6 hours to be off the property or we're calling the police.
What scholarship? Were you in school?
No. Like these rehabs.
Oh, because that's right.
They make so much money that they have to give away a few as write-offs, right? So if you said to me, Matt, my nephew is struggling, I could call my sister, most likely, and get you a free scholarship. If you're like, man, he's down and out, he doesn't have insurance, his family's tried everything, I have the resources, I could probably get you a scholarship. You know what I mean? It's common. A lot of people they do it. They do. A lot of places will do it out of the kindness of their hearts if they truly believe in helping people and it's not a financially motivated. They're all financially motivated, but some will give a scholarship out just to meet their tax audits, and some will do it because there's a guy in a jam and he needs a scholarship. It could be if we don't get him in here and get him treatment, right?
So just out of the kindness of their own heart?
Yeah, they can scholarship anybody.
I don't understand.
They could say, hey,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Over my head. What, did you say you can scholarship them for free?
No, yeah. I was saying out of the goodness of their own heart.
Yeah. No, there's always, they're getting paid for your UAs. Then they ship those off. They're getting paid a couple $100 a racket. I will say my brother-in-law and his brother run a truly all above board rehab, which is very rare. I would say probably 20% of all rehabs out there run truly above board businesses without any of the patient brokering and the slimy stuff that goes along with double charging insurance company. They decided that we're going to do it and do it right. And Travis is a sharp, business-minded guy, and it didn't take him long to figure out how to do it right, and be successful. He didn't have to do these little corners where they pay you, Matt, I'll give you 1,000 guys for everyone you can go out and get me who has an HMO policy.
Give you $1,000.
I'll give you 1,000 for everyone you can get that will sign up for a 30-day detox.
Right.
I'll even give them, what's their drug of choice? All right, here, go get them this. You know, I mean, it was when that was going on rampant. I mean, ever look up Kenny Chapman?
No, but I mean, I know there was a movie they did a whole movie on.
Well, Cashapp was on American Greed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
On these guys, maybe that was him. Maybe the movie was based on him.
It could have been. He's a black guy. If it was.
Yeah. They were going out and they were just getting like young kid, like not young, but like 22-year-old kid. Like they're like drug addicts or they're homeless and they're going and
he was keeping them in this cycle and to just continuously bill insurance companies. Right. He would get them clean. He'd get them high. He'd get them clean. He'd get them high. And he would he got charged with like kidnapping with some of his charges because he was actually like holding people against it. Well, they wanted out, and he was like, "No, like you're a cash cow. Right. You got Blue Cross Blue Shield. We ain't letting you go until the benefits are dry." You know. But he's in jail for 16 years. They hung him on the cross to make a big. I mean, I think it's Del Rey. I don't know the county. Is that Broward? Or or not Hillsborough. It's got to
be Broward.
It might be Broward. But anyway, they actually have a task force for this rehab fraud.
Right.
It's an actual task force going out, busting these guys that are doing it, rounding them up. And, a few years back, a bunch of guys I knew got hemmed up and, they got slaps on the wrist, most of them, unless they were making millions of dollars. But
so these guys throw you out for kratom.
They throw me out for kratom in 6 hours. I have nowhere to go. I can't I have a couple $100 from my last paycheck in my pocket. So, and I had everything I was in a duffel bag and a carry-on backpack. So I kept a fresh change of clothes in my carry-on backpack, and I found a place to stuff my duffel bag in the locker at the Westin down. We had a locker room area. We also were provided a meal, and we had like a game room type room with a couple of couches and a big screen TV. It was for everybody in the hotel to break room. It's a break room.
Right.
But they cooked the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner, and whatever shift you were on, you could go down. And so that was one meal a day I didn't have to pay for. Right. So when I get kicked out, and these are all the things I have to start thinking about, right? So first night, Fort Lauderdale Beach. I go to work because I was working nights. I was working the 3:30 to 10:30 shift. Now, right before they kicked me out for kratom, they promoted me to supervisor. So it was $15 an hour.
Plus tips. But
you're the guy who takes all the tips into the back room, counts it, divvies it up amongst the X amount of employees, and then says, all right, hey, Jimmy, shifts over. You made 90, Timmy 90, Bob 90. Okay, so I'd go in there, I'd dump it all out, and I'd be like, five for me, five, 10 for me, one. So I'm walking out with 150 and everybody else is making 75 for the same shift. Plus I'm getting $15 an hour.
I don't understand why everybody didn't just keep your own. Why can't I just keep my own tip?
Because then it's not fair if...
It's not fair.
So I got a $50 tip because I was the only guy that could back a truck and trailer. The guy came in with his race car and a 24-foot enclosed trailer. And once he pulled into the Westin, he couldn't loop it around. It had to be pulled in, backed up, 3-point turn to be put in. He couldn't even do it. So I'm like, I got it. I grew up with tractors, trucks. I came from the farm. So I should
get to share in that tip. I can't do that.
Oh, I put that 50 in my pocket and 5 came out and went in the bush.
I was going to say the sharing, the pulling all our funds and divvying up feels like cotton to me. Like I'm not paying if Colby's.
He goes, I'm going to be here for 3 days. If I don't see you when I leave, he goes, take this now. And he gave me a 50. I folded it in half. I put it in my pocket. It was about 100 yards to the booth. By the time I got to the booth, I was in the other pocket. Hey guys, $5 bill.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Jerk off.
Yeah. He said he's going to take care of us on his way out. So now they kick me out. I go to the hotel. I work my shift. I go take a shower, grab probably a $40 nice linen sheet from the Westin out of the laundry, go out on the Fort Lauderdale Beach, lay it down. It's about 11:30 at night. Put my backpack on the ground, lay it on my backpack because it's big as people will steal your shit when you're sleeping out there. And I got about 3 hours of restless sleep on the beach until the sun came up. And I did that for about a week.
If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above. That's where GhostBed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, GhostBed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use the code COX at checkout. Again, that's ghostbed.com/Cox with the code COX at the checkout to save a whopping 50% off site-wide.
Every day I would shower at work. I would go walk A1A and eat and kill time until it was, because they patrol the beach, but about after midnight, they don't patrol it like normal. So after midnight, it's pretty safe because it's illegal. You can't sleep on the beach.
Right.
So yeah, but
that whole Florida is anything goes things at this point.
It was not what I was
it is
thinking.
At all.
Yeah,
They love.
Although there's a caveat.
Deputies.
There's a caveat to this one particular story that I'm getting to. So this particular night, I had laundry to do. I'm not much because I'm living out of a duffel bag. So, and I know that only one guy works midnight to 8. So when he's parking a car, the booth is empty. So I walk up to the hotel. I wait for him to park a car. I go in, I grab a set of keys. I go up in the parking garage, push the panic button until they find the vehicle. I get in the vehicle. I take it for a ride to the laundromat. I do my laundry. I bring the car back, put it in its spot, wait for him to park a car, hang the keys back on the rack, and go back to the beach, and I spend the night. No big deal. So that was like midweek. Friday comes along. These 2 young girls in there. Now, this is 2014, so I'm 34. These girls were probably 25. Good-looking girls. I don't know what they were up to, but they came in. They were only going to be there 2 nights. I was working both of those days, so I did the deal with them. I said, give me $20 instead of the 50. I said, and when I leave tonight, I'm going to come upstairs and I'm going to knock on your door and give you your keys. And just whatever, she told me her room number she was in. All right. So 11 o'clock came. It was time to punch out. Me and another guy go up to the room. They were good-looking girls. Everybody wanted to come with me, right?
Right.
And so we go and knock on the door. They open the door. They're like scantily clad, bottle of Patron. I'm sober, other than the kratom.
Right.
Right? They're like, you guys want to do some shots? Like, okay, well, sure. So they're pouring shots of tequila. And then next thing you know, she's cutting up wines. You want to do a wine? I'm like, all right. I mean, I never met a drug I didn't like.
I was going to say, they bamboozled you into it.
Yeah, I mean, I was forced at this point. I couldn't get out. So
no. Stop it.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we're doing that. We actually go through what they have, and they're like, "Let's go get more." I'm like, "Okay."
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, no,
I have a car.
We shouldn't do that. I gotta
sure.
No,
that's my Porsche.
The girl had a car. They had come in, so we get in their car and we drive to the slums and we get more, and we go back to the hotel. And now it's like 3, and the kid that was with me knew he wasn't getting anywhere with one girl. She kept saying she had a boyfriend. The other girl and I had a little chemistry, and he's
I
like,
think the Coke will do
and
that.
he wasn't. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking she's in love.
Yeah.
She, and I'm in love. So he didn't do it. This kid was a good kid. He was younger. He didn't do it. He didn't get
things
involved
don't work
with the
out for
Coke.
those
So
guys.
he's like tapping out at 3:00. He's like, I'm gonna go home. I gotta work
Amateur.
tomorrow. Yeah. I'm like, Buzzy, I can handle this. So he leaves. We finish up what we're doing. I want to say the girl's name was Sarah. That's my sister's name. I want to say the friend was Sarah. And she said, Sarah has to go to her boyfriend's. He only lives in Boca. We're in Fort Lauderdale. It's right up A1A. She goes, Sarah was drunk. And whatever. She goes, I'll drive Sarah's car to Boca. You just pick me up, come back, and stay with me at the hotel. I've been staying on the beach.
Yeah.
So pretty girl in a hotel room looks like a win for me, right?
Yeah. No. It makes
A bed,
sense.
an air condition. I mean, I don't have to get up and shake the sand off me.
I know. I get it. Your wife would understand.
Right. But I'm not going to tell them, well, that'd be great, but I don't have a car.
Right.
So I'm like, perfect. You guys go get your car and I'll meet you. I'll call you when I'm heading up A1A and then you send me the directions. So that was the plan. They get in their car, they head up. I wait. Guy parks the car, I grab a set of keys, do my thing, boop, boop, boop. It's an F-150. Great. 4-door, nice. I'm gonna look like a pimp. I get in there, I head out.
I'd rather get into a fight with a guy in a Porsche than an F-150. I feel like that guy's 6'2".
Well,
it's a good chance.
listen to this.
I need
This
a
gets
guy in
even
a
crazy.
tiny little car.
This gets even more bizarre.
Like, is there a Fiat? Like, is there a Mini? Like, that's what I'm taking.
Right.
I could take this guy. Okay.
I didn't. This is after we finished the blow, and now I've never done any benzos in my life. Of all the drugs, I've never done a Xanax, Klonopin, none of that stuff. I just never I had the opportunity, or it just was never around. So as we finished the Coke, and we're getting ready to bring the girl home, she goes, "Here, take one of these. It will help you come down." And she gave me a Xanax. I don't know what milligram it was, but
Right.
I just took it, didn't do anything. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, didn't do anything. So we're all doing the thing. She's heading up 81A to bring the friend home. I'm looking for a vehicle. I find one. I'm out. I'm onto A1A. I'm driving. I had like $1,000 at the time because I was living on the beach, so everything I had on me. And I was waiting on this big paycheck because they paid us every 2 weeks. So I just had to make it to that next paycheck, and then I had enough to find a room or something, So I remember the pill must have been kicking in. I remember I had all my money in my lap, and I had my backpack with my wallet in it on the passenger seat. And the next thing I know, I wake up and it's smoke. And I don't know what happened. I fell asleep. And the only part of A1A between the Westin Hotel and Boca Raton is about 2 miles from the Westin. It is a double lane road. Nothing, no median in between, except for this 50-foot median about 2 miles from the Westin heading north on A1A. And don't you know that's the truck veers into the median, hits the trees, totals. I jump out of the truck. Money goes everywhere. I'm like, I'm scrambling for money. People are coming out of their house. Dude, are you okay? What's going on? When I get out of the truck to pick up my money, because it was like 20s and 50s, I shut the door of the truck, my backpack and wallet in it. Now people are like coming, hey, you okay, man? Sit down, sit down. I can see the red and the blue cherries coming.
Right.
And I'm like, this. I started taking off. I had my cell phone. I had whatever money I gathered up, but I left my wallet and my backpack in the locked truck. So I'm not even thinking about that. Right now I'm running because as I'm like about 50 feet away, the first cruiser's pulling up and he's pulling up like to get out and chase me.
Right.
So I just go and I would be west of A1A between the ocean and the intercoastal. So there's only about 5 blocks there. I am zigging, zagging, hopping fences. I fell in a hot tub. I busted a glass patio table. I tore my shorts on a chain link fence. I mean, I am just hopping 6-foot fences, going through neighbors' yards. People must have been like, I mean, when I went through the patio table, I was out of there so fast before a light came on, but I guarantee you somebody had to come outside unless they weren't home. Cops are going by with the big flashlight. I'm like laying behind palm trees. And this is going on for what feels like hours. And I make my way north a few miles by cutting through backyards, and I seem to be safe. There's no cars around. I get out, I cross A1A, I'm now on the beach side, and I'm 3 miles from the Westin Hotel. It's about 5 a.m. I'm supposed to be at work at 11 a.m. No, I'm supposed to be at work at 3 p.m. that day. I don't remember this, but I must have been exhausted. I laid down on the seawall. Like, you know, the seawall in Fort Lauderdale, it's like a big, like this wide. I just kind of laid down and I passed out. And around 10:30, I feel, and I come to, and it's a lifeguard. He's like, "Hey, bro," he's like, "you've been laying out here since I came to work at like 7:30. He's like, "You better go get some water in you, man." He's like, "You look like a lobster." I'm like, "All right." And I'm looking, and there's blood on my hands, and my shorts are torn, and my shirt's torn. And I'm like, oh my God. Now it's coming back to me what happened the night before. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I just started walking to the Westin, right? I mean, they're going to come looking for me, or I got to go to them. So I walked in.
They've probably already been there, right? Have they ever been there?
Nobody. I got in. I got down to my locker. I was actually dumb enough to be putting my uniform on, like I was going to be going to work. Right. And I hear Mr. Smith, and I turn around, and it's the owner of the Valet company, who's from Texas, and he only flies into town like twice a year for
when someone steals cars.
Yeah. And 2 Fort Lauderdale Police Department and the security for the Westin Hotel. Mr. Smith, would you come with us? Yeah, sure.
Did you tell him I know exactly what this is about? Have you found my stuff?
Yeah. Like, you guys got my backpack?
I got mugged. Someone told my stuff.
Right.
And I saw them leave in an F-150. I know that.
Yeah. The guy that had my backpack anyway.
Did you find it? I was just going to call and report it stolen.
Thank God you guys are here.
First thing you should have done when that guy tugged on, you should have picked up your cell phone and said, "So glad you woke me up. I need to report some shit stolen."
So they take me into this security booth, and I'm still like foggy and hazy. Like this benzo that didn't agree with me. I'm still like groggy, hungover.
Yeah, it's caused you some problems.
Of substances in me. I was laying in the sun. I'm dehydrated. I still haven't even gotten water. I just like dragged myself to the Westin, another 2 miles up. And so they got me in the room. They go, they knew what happened. They saw the video. They saw me go in the room and get the keys to the truck. And do you want to explain yourself? The owner of the vehicle would like to meet you.
Yeah. I'm good.
Okay. So in walks this 70-year-old black man. There was a convention at the hotel for mayors. He was the mayor of some small town in South Carolina. He goes, "Son, what happened?" I said, "I got kicked out of the place that I was staying." Right. I said, "I had been sleeping on the beach for the last 6-7 months. I'm waiting on this 6-7 days. I'm waiting on this paycheck so I can finally get in a place." I said, "I took the truck to go to the laundromat to wash my clothes," because I had done that.
Yeah.
I wasn't lying. Just wasn't that night. I said, "I've been working so much. I must have just fallen asleep." Like, "Well, why'd you run?" I said, "Well, I didn't know what to do. I knew I wasn't supposed to be in the truck."
Oh.
He goes, "Do you have any kids?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "I do. He's about 4. He goes, "You seem like a really nice guy, and he just made a terrible mistake." He goes, "I don't want to press any charges." The Fort Lauderdale Police Department was like fuming. Like if steam could come out of their ears, steam would have come out of their ears. They literally said, "You're fired. You're trespassed. You have to go clean out your locker and get off the property. You're not allowed back." Okay. And the cop throws me my backpack. Inside the backpack is a bottle of Percocets that I had stolen out of a valeted car that I had parked a few days prior. So had they unzipped my backpack at any point, one of those pockets, they could have got me on possession of a controlled substance, grand theft of a motor vehicle, fleeing and eluding, DWI potentially. I mean, the list goes on, right? So
your whole story falls apart if that.
So you would think, boy, that is a huge break. Like, that is a gigantic break, dude. Like, you could have gone to prison over just that one thing. And I don't. So they fire me. I bum around for like 2 or 3 more days because I'm not calling nobody and telling them how great I'm doing. Right. So I'm just kind of avoiding everybody. Oh, in the melee, I just bought a brand new iPhone 6. It was when iPhone 6s were out. So that's how long ago it was. I lost the phone in the melee of the jumping and running through backyards. So I didn't even have a cell phone. So for these 3 days after the accident, families reaching out to me, my phone's going right to voicemail. They don't know. They've called now the halfway house. I'm not there. My brother-in-law drives down to the Westin because he knows that's my last place of employment to look for me there. And they're like, "Oh yeah, Nate, he doesn't work here no more. You didn't hear what happened?" And he didn't hear, of course, didn't know. So then he gets filled in. And
he keeps that to himself.
Circumstance.
Doesn't call everybody in the family.
Yeah. No, they all found out. By happenstance, Fort Lauderdale Beach is big. And he leaves the Westin and he's just heading south, basically to get back on the highway, hit Las Olas Boulevard and get back out of Fort Lauderdale. And we see each other. Like,
who is
Justin, my brother-in-law.
Okay.
He was sent to look for me because I'm AMA for 3 days because I lost my phone.
And there's MIA.
MIA, what did I say?
Missing in action.
Yeah, what did I say? I didn't say that.
MAI?
Ask me.
Oh, edit that one, Colby.
Yeah.
So he finds me, gives me the old like, "Dude, you gotta grow up. You got a son. Like, what the hell, man? Like, this is serious stuff. Like, how you didn't get in any trouble, I do not know." He said, "I'm gonna take you with me. We're going to Delray. You're going to this halfway house." And again, another freebie, I had some money, but I wasn't telling anybody so he gets me in this halfway house for free for 2 weeks. I stayed at the halfway house. I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing, but I didn't cause any major problems there. I convinced my mom, which I don't know how I did after the story with the car. I convinced her to let me come back to Fort Myers. I'm like, I want to be close to Colton, my son, and I want to, I think I'll get involved in Fort Myers. I'll go to a halfway house. I'll tell her. I was telling her everything she wanted to hear. She did. She came and got me, and so now I'm back in Fort Myers, and I'm using whenever I get my hands on things, but I don't know anyone in Fort Myers, so the only way I can get drugs is in Fort Lauderdale. And I have at the time, I went from owning many new vehicles and extra vehicles and antique vehicles. And at this time, I'm driving a 97 Chevy Blazer that won't make it to Fort Lauderdale and back without shutting it off 3 or 4 times in the meantime to let it cool down. But I'm still pushing this thing to get there because I want to get drugs, right? So I'm doing that for maybe about a month. My addiction isn't like where it's to every day, but it's heading back in that direction. So my mom's like, "You got to get a job." I'm like, "Okay." I'm flipping on whatever, Craigslist or whatever it was at the time. I see this used car dealership in Fort Myers, and I'll leave the name out of it. And so I applied. They hired me. it was a shitty job for a shitty owner who sold shitty cars. But they were like nice. He'd get nice cars, but all from auction and yada, yada, yada. So at this point, I need to get better transportation to Fort Lauderdale, right? So I come up with this idea that at night, when I need to get to Fort Lauderdale, when we close up the auto shop, I would take a dealer plate and I would put it in my waistline and put my shirt over it. And then I would, hey, good night, guys. See you tomorrow. And leave, and I'd get my car. And we had two. The other one would be locked in the trailer, which was like a construction trailer on the site, which only the owner had the key to. We didn't. We only had the key to the gate to get into the lot. So I would take a set of keys for whatever vehicle I thought would make it to Fort Lauderdale. It was usually an FJ40. Remember those FJ40s the Toyota came back out with?
Oh, yeah.
They were kind of like looking.
I like those. Yeah. They don't make them anymore. No, I'd love to get like an older one. It drove
really nice. Yeah. I took it to Fort Lauderdale a few times, unbeknownst to the owner. So yeah, I would come back at like 9 o'clock. I would open the gate. I would go in, put the dealer plate on the FJ Cruiser, and head out to Fort Lauderdale and go cop my stuff and come back. And that went on for a while until I finally upgraded jobs to a caddy, because I didn't want to go back into flooring. Like when we sold the business, we had some money. I didn't have to, but the lifestyle I was leading, I was going to have to, because that money wasn't going to last forever.
Right.
So I was doing these like little jobs that didn't have a lot of responsibility, because I didn't want the stress, because I thought that was what made me unhappy with the flooring business, right? I just wanted a job. It's a paycheck. Right. And like these hospitality jobs, you can actually do pretty good. You can make $200 to $500 a day if you get the right people. And caddying was super easy. It's 4 hours a day. You go do around 18 holes, and a good day you make 400. A bad day you made 200 in 4 hours. And you're off.
But you're still using drugs, which you said was made you unhappy. I mean, which was the flooring thing was supposed to make you happy, but not doing the flooring would have made you happy, which would have made you stop doing the drugs.
Right.
But you're still doing the drugs, even though now you're happy.
Because my brain is scrambled eggs at that point. I don't know what would make me happy. I didn't know up from down at that point.
Right.
You know, so I won't say why, but I lost the job at the golf course. And the particular day I lost the job, I'm caddying for this NBA alumni tournament. It's at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples. The all ex-Hall of Famers, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, guys that were relevant in my era, and guys from the 80s and stuff. Nobody crazy. Like Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tim Tebow was there for another event. They're about the biggest names, guys that I rubbed shoulders with, and by rub shoulders, carried their bag. But although the Pistons guys, Chauncey and Rip, were actually, being from Boston and having like the Boston-Detroit rivalry games back in the 90s and 80s and stuff, they were fun. They were fun guys. They talked to me like they weren't any better, you know? Yeah. They were just a couple guys out playing golf, and I was their caddy. So literally, I went from like highs of highs to walking across the parking lot to get in my car to getting approached by 2 detectives from Naples for a theft.
A theft of what?
Of something from the golf course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a secret?
No.
I mean,
I don't
is this something I can't find using a public record search?
I probably should. I probably can say it's well past statute of limitations.
Was it a child?
Got in trouble. No, it was a set of rental golf clubs, but they were $1,000 set of clubs.
That's fine.
I stole them.
Everybody's doing it.
If I wasn't an idiot and a drug addict who needed money immediately, and all I had to do was take a simple sticker off the bottom of the club, they would have had no idea where they came from, and I would have never got caught.
Did you
took it to Play It Again Sports and took $300 for them, and
left the sticker,
and they went, Tiburon. Hey, you guys getting rid of your rental sets down there? Because I told them, I said, I bought it. They're selling their old rental sets, so I bought it. Because he mentioned it and I was like, fuck, but it's too late.
Did you, when they When they said, we know it's you, did you say, how'd you put it together?
No, it was just like, it was like the walk of shame.
God, you guys are good.
I'm in this parking lot of the Ritz-Carlton with celebrities, all the guys I work with, and two detectives are coming to talk to me. It was like the walk of shame. So
I mean, they need my help.
Yeah, I'm trying to help them solve a crime.
Which is just true. That's true.
So this is funny because this is my first introduction to like jail and like not politics, but like kind of how it operates. Right now, I had money in my pocket when I get arrested, so it immediately goes on your books. Right when you get into jail. Yeah. Now I'm calling Dad. He ain't even answering. He's certainly not bailing me out. So I'm thinking I'm sitting there for at least a month for a court date, right? I'm starving, you know, the typical jail stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm like, well, people got stuff. I'm like, how do I get stuff? They're like, oh, there's a guy over there he's got a store. It's 2 for $1, whatever. Just got to show him you got money in your books. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go over. I'm like, hey, man, I got like $400 in my books. Pull up my computer, show him. I'm like, I just like to get some stuff to hold me over till I can order. You know, say like you can order on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and this was like a Friday. So he gives me like $25 worth of items, and I had to pay him back 2 for $1s, right?
Right.
And I had no problem. I was going to do it. All intentions of doing it. Monday morning, my dad decides to bail me out. So he had a phone call on the intercom. Smith, roll it up. I'm like, what are they, moving me?
Right.
Now I get like 4 guys making their way to my bunk. They're like, you going home? I'm like, I don't know. This is news to me. Nobody said they would bond me out. I said, I'll go find out what's going on. And then I found out, and they go, yeah, you're going home. You got bond. I go, okay. I said, as soon as I get out, I said, give me your number. I'll go put it right on your books. They're like, okay, you promise? Gotcha, bro. So out of there. From the agreement with my dad was, if he'll bail me out, I have to go to Fort Lauderdale to, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the place. It'll come to me. It's a religious run rehab where they pray the drugs out of you. They don't do any like meds or nothing. So basically it's a cult work camp where it's a year-long program. They put you to work 8 hours a day, and then the rest is filled with church and Bible study stuff, maybe an AA meeting. I lasted there a month. They kicked me out. They said that I wasn't taking it serious, and I probably wasn't because I don't take that stuff very serious. You know, I'm goofing around. As soon as I get sober, my sense of humor comes back. I start being my old self again. Ego comes back, right? So I was immediately non-conforming to, I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid. Right. The guys that were there a few months ahead of me were drinking already. So they're like, we're kicking you out.
Right.
Again, you got to get your stuff and go. Like, no notice. My mom's in Fort Myers. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I don't know nobody.
I'm always shocked that when you don't conform to the program and they kick you out, you feel that you've got something coming. Like, just like that? Yeah. No, not really just like that. More like a month of us trying to get you to do the right thing, and now you have to go.
Exactly.
Well,
and they
is there a grace period? Yeah, 6 hours.
It is. And it's like, and then they're kicking you out and just like, I can't believe you're doing that to me, man.
You guys are acting like this is my fault. Well,
yeah. So now here I am again, walking down the streets of Fort Lauderdale with a backpack. And they were kind enough, though, because I had more stuff there. They were kind enough to at least hold it until someone could get it for me. So my poor mother drives all the way over, picks up my belongings, and then I had no cell phone because part of this program was you can't have a cell phone the entire year you're at the program.
Yeah, so a lot of those programs they'll go 6 months or 90 days or
Yep.
Or they no cell phone. Period. What?
Well, I just happened to be walking, and a guy was kind of walking the same pace as me, and we kind of hit a couple blocks at the same time and waited at the red lights. So I felt kind of comfortable enough to say like, hey man, like I'm in a jam. Could I make a phone call? And he's like, cool. He's like, what happened? And I told him, and I think I got kicked out of a rehab. And anyways, I had to call my mom, and he lets me call my mom, and I give him back his phone, and he peels a 20. He pulls out a wad of money, and he peels off a 20, and he's like, here, man. He's like, get yourself some lunch. I'm like, thanks, man. You don't have to do that. He apparently was like a pool hustler. He was headed to the pool. We were just on the same path that day for a few minutes. So my mom comes, and she's like begging and pleading with me that I need help, and I got to get in a program, and I've burned all my bridges, and all that's left for me is the Salvation Army. And I'm like, well, if I'm doing the Salvation Army, I'm doing it in Fort Myers. I'm not doing it in Fort Lauderdale. Because my son's on the West Coast. My family's on the West Coast. Although they probably rather keep me on the East Coast. I was able to convince her to take me to the West Coast with her.
All right.
So she brings me back to the West Coast, and I go. Salvation Army had like a 3-month waiting list because they were taking guys out of jail over guys off the street. I don't know, it's the way they were doing it. And so she finds this other place called Job's House. And I will put that on there because this guy was the biggest scumbag of scumbags. Another religious-based, pray the drugs away and, you'll be fine. But you're going to work 8 hours and we're not going to pay you. We're going to put you on food stamps. We're going to control your food stamp card. You can't have any cash, can't have a cell phone. They take me, I'm there one day. It costs $100 to get into this program too. So my mom writes him a check for $100. The first day I spend like half a day at the site seeing like, it's basically just a garage these guys work out of. And then at night, they take a druggy buggy back to the house. And it's in like the slums of Palm Beach Boulevard in Fort Myers. And they go, oh, your first night you sleep on the couch. If after the first night, then we'll see about finding a bed for you. I'm like, all right. It's weird. Like no floors in the house. It was like plywood everywhere, cockroaches in the kitchen. I'm like, I don't even know if I slept that night. I laid on the couch fully clothed, shoes on. I don't even think I unzipped my backpack. I am like playing along, Yeah, okay. We'll go to the office. We'll go get to the office, do like a thing in the morning, go around the room, take a 15-minute break. 15-minute break, I start walking. It's like 7.5 miles from my mom's house. It took me 4 hours, I think. She couldn't believe it. I show up at her door. She's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I can't stay there. I'm like, it was awful. I'm like,
I'm better than this.
Exactly. It's crazy.
I love the responsibility that you're taking in this whole thing.
No. No accountability. It's everyone else's fault, but it's Chick's fault. No. But when you're in it, when you talk to anybody, you are the most selfish human being on earth. An addict is the most selfish. The only thing I can say I didn't do, and it was because I had a business to rob from, was I didn't never rob from family members like jewelry or like, stuff that means sentimental stuff, like that type of stuff. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff, but I didn't do any other good. I did bad stuff to other people, just not family people. So that one, after the Job's House, she says, well, I don't know what we're going to do. Until we find out, you're going to a meeting every day and you're not allowed out of my sight. I'm freaking 35 years old now, 35, 36 years old.
Super responsible.
Right. Super responsible. I mean,
once again, seems reasonable. All these reasonable people, we got to get rid of these people. We got to get these people out of our lives.
They are squares, I'll tell you.
Do-gooders.
I obliged, and I did pretty good, actually. Because I wasn't like fully dependent, so I was able to dibble dabble and without it being full blown. And I stayed at Fort Myers, and I took a job on the beach at the parasail rental place. I'm like, what better place to meet girls, get paid nothing, but you work on the beach, you get a good tan, it's fun. Again, you get tips. There's ways to finagle a little extra.
Has it dawned on you at this point that your life is not going in an upward trajectory?
If I didn't have a child, they might have found me. They might have found me hanging somewhere.
So
at that point. I went from on pace to be retired at my age to driving a '97 Blazer that was given to me living with my parents.
Right.
After I had just built and sold a $400,000 home. Talk about. Yeah. And not a real fast decline. It was kind of slowly taking, and I just kept reaching new bottoms, like, this is the bottom. Now I'll keep digging.
All right.
I see what this guy, maybe there's something else down there a little better.
So you've written parasails?
Parasails. Yeah. So I'm the guy on the beach. You come to me, I sign you up, radio to the boat, walk you to the boat, and they do their thing out there. You come back, tell me a great time you had, how wonderful I was, and you tip us. Well, the people on the boat don't know what's going in the jar on land. So I always made sure that they never knew how much was in the jar until one customer told the people on the boat, I put a 20 in the jar.
Yeah.
And they kind of had an idea, I think.
Yeah.
So they were, there's no 20 in this jar.
All right.
Well, I don't know. Well, we had a guy get on the boat who said he put a 20 in the jar for everybody.
Is there a 20 in your pocket?
That was my last day.
Right.
So that was the parasail place. I left there. I waited tables for a few weeks, months. I waited about a few months. I waited tables down there on Fort Myers Beach. Meanwhile, the addiction is ramping back up. And now I'm willing to do anything pretty much. Doesn't have to be opiates. It could be whatever. I just want to feel different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I feel like a loser. And I am a loser. I lost everything. I feel shitty. So, it's a pretty low place. It's a pretty low place to be. And,
what year is this?
This is now 2016 now. And I go over to see my son and ex-wife. At this point, our divorce was not completely finalized, so I was paying her and not set up through the courts for child support. And we got in a big argument. She asked me to leave. I, of course, said, no, I'm not done talking. She said, leave, I'm going to call the police. I said, no. She picked up the phone. I said, she's going to call the police. I better leave. So I leave. She called the police. I wasn't a quarter mile out of her complex. They pulled me over, DUI. I had been drinking that day, so it was pretty evident that I was drunk. They brought me in. I got out on recognizance, put on probation. Again, I'm not changing anything. I'm still sneaking around, but I don't have the finances. So hustling. What I did leave out, it's too late to go back to now, but what my safe haven was when I escaped Massachusetts was I figured if I robbed all my drug dealers, then I would burn a bridge. And if I ever did come back, I wouldn't know how to get any, right? So I in 2014, I robbed all 4 of my drug dealers within 2 days of each other and got about $3,000. And
robbed them in what way? Like with a gun? Broke in their house?
No, I finessed them. I would say they sold pills. I would say, Susie just got her script and she's looking to get rid of them. And at the time they're selling for $30 a piece. I'm just like, she's willing to sell 30 of them for $10 a piece or 60 of them for $20 a piece, whatever the number was, whatever the drug was. I say, and I had this building, same building. I used this building 10 years prior for a robbery where it had a front door entrance and a rear door down the end of the hall that went out the back. And what I would do to the people, I'd say, drive me there. I don't want to take your money. I don't want you to take your money and you think, so you just drive me there.
Right.
I was like, she's like crazy about meeting new people. She's paranoid. I was like, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave my phone in your cup holder. All you got to do is run up there and run right back down. I'll be right back down. I said 2 phones, a burner and my good phone. So I put the burner in a cup holder. He gives me this one. The biggest score was $1,600. He gives me $1,600. I get out of the car, walk around the building, go in the front door, run down the hall, out the back door. I'm not even out the back door, and I'm dialing taxi cab numbers.
Right.
Pick me up at the YMCA, And this is typical luck. After I had robbed all my drug dealers, I had like 2 days before I could go to Florida, and $3,000 cash, and couldn't get a pill anywhere. So like I tortured myself really, so that was before the 2014 second time to rehab. I don't know why I forgot that part, but that was like my plan was if I robbed them all, then, because I always had plans on coming back to Mass, I'd be like, then I can't just easily call them and go get them, right? Well, that doesn't work. So yeah, sorry to veer off there.
No, sorry.
You get the DUI, get out on ROR. Meantime, I have this open case in Naples for the golf clubs, and I now just picked up this new charge. And so the lawyer in Naples ends up getting it probation, adjudicated, withheld. All I do is stay out of trouble. Well, I go get a DUI a couple months later. So the DUI, they give me ROR, and you got to do classes. I refused the breathalyzer, so I lost my license for a year. So you got to go through all that garbage. That was over $10,000 for one DUI in Florida. And then I get my license back, and Massachusetts finds out about it, and they suspend my license in Massachusetts. So I actually lost my license for 2 years over it, and it shouldn't have happened. It was like a bureaucracy thing, and I don't know how it didn't get straightened out. But anyways, long story short, we had a family trip up to Massachusetts. We go up to Massachusetts. Things are good. See family I hadn't seen in a while, old friends. I get a phone call from the neighbor in Florida, and she says, hey, there was a Lee County Sheriff car just pulled up to your mom's house. So I walked next door, and they left a note on the door, and it says, they want you to come down and see them. Something about a warrant. I'm like, what? A warrant? Like, I had paid my fines, and I'm doing the driving school. And I had no idea in Florida, Massachusetts, like if you're on like probation like that and you violate, you can go in and out the same day. Like they might violate you and then make you bond back out. Well, Florida, they have this thing called the Whitman Act. I had never heard of it. So when I'm in Massachusetts, I called my lawyer and I said, hey, I just found out I have a warrant. I said, and I'm going to come back to Florida in a week. I'm on vacation. I said, and I'm going to take care of it. I said, I just want to let you know so I don't have to sit in jail for very long. He's like, oh man, he's like, nothing I can do for you. It's the state of Florida Whitman Act. He says 14 days before you get to see the judge. He says it's mandatory. Doesn't matter what it is, violation, technical or whatever. Any kind of violation, it's the Whitman Act. All right. So I go into jail in Fort Myers. I get high, call an Uber, 1 o'clock in the morning, got to jail. So I tried to get there about 3 so that if you get there and they book you in by 5 a.m., that counts as 1 day. You ever try to, it's a little trick. If you're ever going to turn yourself in, do it after 2 in the morning. You get credit for that whole day. So I turned myself in, go through the withdrawals in jail because I'm taking anything. I'm taking pills, Suboxone, Kratom, whatever, right? So eventually it's going to come off. It's all the same. It's an opiate type receptor. So when it leaves the receptors, it's going to make you feel shitty.
Right.
So I kicked for 10 days in jail. I mean, you sleep on them, them little mats. I mean, when your first night or two of detoxing, I would be waking up in my jail jumpsuit would be sopping wet. And I'd have a puddle on my mat of sweat. You know what I mean? It was just awful. Terrible. And it's cold in there and the food sucks. And, county jail is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to compare it to because I never made it where the big boys go. But from what I hear, I think I had more. It was more. I did more torturous time in and out of my many stays in county jail. Because I had like 2.5 years in county.
I'd rather do 2 years,
Yeah, exactly.
2 years in federal prison
But
than
it's
a
in
year,
and out, you know,
than a
it's-
year in county.
I only have a year in one shot. The rest of it's 4 months, 3 months, 6 months. So anyways, turned myself in. I had done everything they asked except 30 hours of community service. So I'm in there. Never been to jail. Everyone's a jail time. Everybody's a jail lawyer. They all want to know what you're in there for. I'm like, dude, I'm in here because I didn't do community service and they violated my probation. They're like, oh, they'll reinstate. They might add 30 more hours and $500 fine. You're going home you're going home as soon as you see the judge, dude. You're good. You're going home. You got a lawyer too? You're definitely going home. I'm like, oh, sweet. All right, great. Because I can't stand this place.
Right.
You know, but I got through the withdrawals, and that was part of being that first time in jail and going through the withdrawals. They put me in the infirmary. So I'm in the infirmary in Fort Myers jail, and I'm in there with one of these murderers in the Sievers trial. It wasn't Mark. It was the guy that actually did the killing, the one that ratted, the one that ended up selling out his best friend. For some reason, his name's drawing a blank. It might pop back into my head. So I literally was playing cards with this guy, watching his Dateline, and he's like, "That's false." It's like that's not true. Yeah, it was wild. Like I'm in there for community service, playing spades with a guy who killed a woman with a hammer.
Right.
And this is a culture shock for me, you know. So I did that. They put you on so many days for the drug thing. And then they release you into regular population. So I ended up in regular population. The 2 weeks goes by. I get my court date. I'm all excited. Mom's there. Gotta be going home. You bring me in shackled.
Right.
You know, she's looking at me like she's like, never seen you.
Never seen you like this.
Hannibal Lecter, you know.
Right.
They got you chained to your ankles, your waist, your hands. You can't even scratch your nose. Judge is like, they read everything off. Yes, Your Honor. He did this. He did that. He did that. He did that. This. Yep. He's just got 30 hours left of community service to complete. I'm like, okay. I'm just like looking around, waiting. He goes, 75 days in the Lee County. No, he goes, 95 days in the Lee County House of Corrections. I'm like, 90 days? Are you freaking kidding me? Like another 5 days would be fine. Like I got the point.
Yeah.
You know, give me 200 community service hours. I will start tomorrow. Don't give me another.
I'll take care of those just like I did that first 30.
Right. Yeah. So 90 is 75 days, right?
Right.
So did I go to the? No, I didn't. I didn't. I did my 75 days and I came home and it sucked. The stipulation was when I get out, rehab number 3, not religious rehab, regular rehab. So I'm going back over to the East Coast. Right. This time it's like Deerfield Beach, I think. Is Deerfield?
Deerfield's down there.
Is Deerfield south of Delray? It's not Lantana, Lakefield. Lakewood. It's on the coast.
It's a rehab.
Yeah. It's anyways, it's just north of Boynton Beach. It's like the next town from Boynton. So I go to their rehab and I'm on probation because I get out but I'm still on probation for the golf club incident. I don't say anything to that probation officer. I just go over to rehab on the East Coast. But you're supposed to like tell them where you live and this and that and the other, and then you got to check in and blah, blah, blah. Right. So it gets to be like 2 days before I'm supposed to check in. And I know I'm going to fail. Like I knew I would have failed the drug test had I stuck around. And my parents wanted me to go to this rehab. So I go to the rehab and I didn't tell probation. Long story short, didn't tell probation. So I call probation thinking when I tell him this, he'll be happy.
Right.
I'm in rehab. Okay, right. Mr. Smith, where are you? I'm in Boynton Beach. Where? Boynton Beach. It's the only one I could get in. He goes, you're on the other coast? I go, yeah. He goes, I want you in my office if you're not in my office before 4 p.m. tomorrow, he goes, I'll put a warrant out for your arrest and you'll be going back to jail. I click and he hangs up. Now I'm going to this place and we're staying in a house with 4 guys. No one has a car. One guy has a scooter that goes, it's a 50cc scooter. I wake up that morning.
This is the Dumb and Dumber. Have you ever seen Dumb and Dumber where they're
now he like cherishes this thing, right?
Right.
So I'm like, hey, you think I could take your scooter tomorrow to go job hunting? I won't go far. I just gotta just gonna hit like Atlantic Ave. Maybe I can find a serving job. He's like, yeah, I'm playing golf in the morning. You can use it for like an hour. I'm like, all right, cool. So I get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. First thing, ride to my sister's house. I'm like, sorry, I need $20. Like, I have no gas for this freaking scooter. And I get on Route 80, Palm Beach Boulevard, heading east. Palm Beach Boulevard turns into Route 80, into Belgrade.
How fast does this thing go?
Oh, about 28, 30 miles an hour. It took me 4.5 hours each way. It took me 9 hours. When I got back, I looked like a cherry red tomato with the windburn and the sunburn. My arm was so tired from holding this thing wide open. Tractor trailer trucks are flying by me. The scooter's going like this and barely keep it on the road. But I made it.
Right.
I got there. And I got back. And it took a long time. But it was so bad at one time on the way home, I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts and I'm riding the scooter drinking Dunkin' Donuts because I was so bored. It was, 30 miles an hour. It's about 150-mile ride. In a car, it's 2 hours.
Right.
But I didn't go Alligator Alley. I went 80 up through around below Okeechobee, Lake Okeechobee.
Right.
So it's kind of a 2-lane highway. It's still dangerous. And, every time them tractor trailer trucks went by and the scooter shook like that, So I made it. I got home. He saw the miles. He flipped out. I still denied it, but I was like, dude, it probably had
What do you think I did? Drive across the state?
Yeah.
What are you, stupid?
It ended up coming out, and someone thought it was funny. And I remember a couple days later, someone was repeating the story, and he's like, "That's where you went." Like, sorry, man. So that was the first time in Lee County Jail, and then what did I do there? I never finished a single rehab. I was kicked out of every single one of them. But now I end up finished that little rehab because they were doing me a favor for a brother thing to appease my parents. So they kind of rushed me through 2.5 weeks, and then they just put me in a halfway house. And I was taking steroids, taking testosterone. I used to be a little bigger.
Okay.
I used to work out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't anymore. I'm like 160 pounds, but at the time I was about 190, and I was a muscle head. I lived in the gym. All my friends worked out. So they kicked me out for finding a bottle of testosterone and 2 syringes. You can't have that at a halfway house.
That's just stupid.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But when you get in these halfway houses, I don't know if the ones you were in, where you get a guy who's been there the longest, and he gets this sense of power trip, right?
Right.
It's his house. He's been there the longest, It's not the most easy guy to get along with if I don't want to be.
Right.
I challenge people. If you say something that I think is bullshit, I will call you right out on that in front of people, and especially if I can back it up, So I wasn't really a likable guy there, and I was miserable. I was still miserable. So it was around Christmas time, and we were going for Christmas at my parents'. So my sister and Justin picked me up, drove me over to my parents' house for Christmas, and I somehow convinced them that I will do everything right on this coast. I just won't go back. This is going to be different.
Right.
I don't know how. It's going to be different. And this is when it gets about the worst it gets, because first it happened with some cash and checks for somebody trying to make a couple of bucks. Somebody stole someone's checkbook. I kind of knew what it was, but I was desperate for the money, and I did it. And I did it, and they caught me, and it's uttering a forged instrument. And they put a warrant out for me, and they got me on the warrant. And they got me on the warrant, and I got arrested, and my bond was $10,000. And this is how loving of a mother I have. She had no business, and she should have never done it. She should have just told me, sorry, suck it up, kid, you did this to yourself. But she bonded me out, and she put $1,000 out, and I got out. I got out 24 hours later. I was out, and you're familiar with Fort Myers?
Yeah. Not a little bit. I've been downtown. I've been to houses.
So you probably never heard of Pine Manor.
No, not really.
It's like a 3-mile square slum of trap houses, whorehouses, fencing operations, and then a few lower class working immigrant families.
Right.
I mean, it's every third door is a drug dealer. You know what I mean? Constantly full of CIs, full of cops. You don't even want to drive through there because it's just, but when you have no other options, you end up in a place like that. Right. So I end up here, and things start going bad, and I start wanting to get high, and I didn't know where to get high, but I knew Pine Manor was a shithole. So I went over there, and didn't take long, and I got a connection, and I was getting high. And my parents were back up in Massachusetts at the time, but their house here in Florida was empty, but I wasn't allowed to stay in it. So I sometimes would park in the driveway and just sleep in the car. But for this particular night, I don't know why I didn't. I could have hit a golf ball to their house from where I parked my van. I parked it in my old apartment complex parking lot, but not in a parking spot. I just pulled through the entrance and kind of like looped around. And then I remember I opened my driver's door, and I was doing something, and I passed out. And I woke up to Lee County Sheriff. And I had a little bag of cocaine. And the was in the cup holder, and the little bag of cocaine was in my hand. So when I get out of the car, I'm like, okay. I get out of the car. As soon as both took their eyes off me, I put the bag in my mouth, swallowed that. And the other guy kept looking through the passenger window, and I'm like, he's seen it, So they're like, why are you asleep? Where are you headed? And like, I was so caught off guard. I had no idea what time it was. I'm like, going to work. They're like, yeah, 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, I don't know. I just fell asleep. I don't have anywhere to go. They tried to give me another DUI. I don't know, miraculously somehow passed the field sobriety test. He goes, I can't give you an operating under the influence. You've passed the field sobriety test. He goes, but my partner found this in the cup holder. And so they took me in on a possession, and I did 30 days on that. And my lawyer...
30 days on heroin, but you missed the 30 days of community hours, and you did... Okay.
I did the 30 days to get to the court date.
Oh, okay.
Then my lawyer bunched everything up into a 2-year probation deal with that charge, right? So I'm finishing the other probation. He gets me 2-year probation, 30 days and 2 years probation for the drug deal. So I'm finishing out one probation.
Which you're never going to pass. You're never going to do 2 years paper.
Never, right? So no,
you can't function off of paper.
All right.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, but you'll say whatever you can to get out of jail, right? I mean, let's face it.
Right.
There, you want to sit here for a year, sir, or we'll let you out today. 2 years paper.
Right.
2 years paper.
Yeah.
Now knowing that, and hence the last time why I just wrapped it up.
Right.
Because I learned after all these stints in and out. So I go in, I do the 30, I get out, I'm on probation for 2.5 years. My mom comes down. She's like, what are you going to do? Your life's a mess. like, you have a son, like, you're going to die. Like, didn't you learn from your sister? And I'm like, yeah, like, this isn't what I want to do. You know, I'm like, I'd fix it if I could. If I could go like that and fix it, I would. You know, so she goes, well, you're not staying here and I have to go back to Massachusetts. So let's find somewhere for you to go. So we find a halfway house and she drops me off at this halfway house, gives me a big hug. Like I remember her hugging me like she might never see me again.
Right.
Like
this is it.
Like the mom hug, you know? And I'm like, Mom, don't worry about it, Mom. You know, like I had never overdosed. I was always, even when I did go down that road, I always not saying it couldn't have happened to me, but I was always a little fearful. I never dove right in.
Right.
I would always kind of sample it
right.
or let everyone else sample it. And then I'm not saying that that's a safer way, but I did have a little bit of fear after what I saw with my roommate down there.
Right.
In 2012. So she drops me off at this halfway house. I make it 2 days. I end up meeting up with the kid in the house who has a car. And he's like a beta. He's like a soy boy. He's like one of them kids that you can tell whatever you can control.
Right.
I'm like, dude, you got a car. Let's get out of here, dude. From the day we left, he never drove his car again. I drove that thing. He had a job too. So what I would do is, mind you, I'm still on probation. I would drop him off at work. We would sleep in this car. This only went on for maybe a month with his car. I would drop him off at work. The only deal was I would have to get him high in the morning and make sure I could get him high when he got out of work. And he would give me his car for the day. Now, I would go back to Pine Manor and I would round up the goon squad, the goof troop, the crash dummies. And I would take 2 or 3 of them to a Walmart, a Target, a Walgreens, or whatever. And they'd go in there and fill a shopping cart and come running out with it and throw it all in the trunk. And I would drive right back to Pine Manor. We'd pull up in front of the hood, pop the trunk, and we're selling Tide Pods for $5 they can't get enough of deodorant, Tide, personal hygiene products. It's like, I don't know what it is, but you take that stuff to the ghetto and they want it. Toothbrushes, crap. But it's an easy lick, and I'm getting half of whatever they're getting because I got the car. I'm the main dude.
Right.
You're the risk in everything, but I'm the main dude.
And the tag is the car.
Tag's Tyler's.
Yeah.
Fuck Tyler.
What was he thinking?
Tyler, I don't even know if I saved his life 3 times. Tyler didn't think much.
Right.
Tyler wasn't much of a thinker.
Right.
No, and I'm not joking. I saved his life 3 times.
So
we copped drugs and I was the driver. So he got his little shit together fast. And as I'm backing out, he's doing it and he shoots it and he goes, that stuff is pretty good. And I get to the stop sign at the end and then you take a left and there's 2 stop signs and you're at the main road. I take the left. I go, you doing all right? And he's doing one of these. I get to the very first stop sign. He's not responding. I get to the second stop sign, banging him in the chest. Now I park the car. I jump out. I go around the driver's door. I yank him out of the ground. I'm doing the sternum rub, the whole 9 yards. I mean, I am punching. I am slapping. You're dying on my watch, bro. Like, I got enough problems. Right. I don't need to explain a body to anybody. So he come to, and that was 2 times I beat him to come to. And then 1 time I had to call 911 and they took him. And he
Narcan, what is it?
Narcan. Yeah. So for a month, that was my regular routine, was bring Tyler back to life and make sure he got to work so I could utilize his car to support my hustle, which was pick up whatever lackeys needed to earn a fix.
Right.
And these knuckleheads would go to anywhere from Dick's Sporting Goods to Dillard's. They go to Dillard's and they'd come out with $2,000 worth of handbags. Go to the ghetto and get $50 a piece for a $600 handbag. You know what I mean? It's like, God, why didn't I have the $1,000 in my pocket now? Right. If we could have rewound history, boy, and I knew these people had a come up. But no, we was just literally broke at the end of the day, and every day it was the same thing. was get up, do the same thing, get up, do the same thing.
How long did that last? A month
It
or
lasted
so?
about a month, because what happened was we were getting our drugs from the same guy. And the guy that we were getting them from, he was an old dude, old school dope dealer. I'm pretty sure he's doing life. They finally got him again for his third time. But we were going to him every time, and he knew the hustle. So he tried to cut me out. So he caught Tyler one day when I wasn't around, and he was like, yo, bro, why don't you let me rock the car? I'll give you a gram of dope every day just for your car. So I'm out, and I got a call, and Tyler's saying, I want my car back. I'm like, I got business to do, bro.
Right.
I got a couple appointments to make. Dollar General hasn't been hit yet. So I avoided him for like 2 or 3 days until now this guy, Black, was the nickname, was pretty feared because he had a gun and he would pop it off outside, and he was not working with a full deck, and he sniffed powder, so he was like a whack job. So anyways, he convinces Tyler that it'd be a better deal for him is if he had the car.
Right.
And, so after they threatened that they were going to do the police thing, I gave up the car. I just brought it there one night, left it, and took off. And now I'm without a car, and I'm like, Black, motherfucker, he's not gonna fucking take my game. I go back over there, pop both tires in Tyler's car. I'm like, now you got a car you can't drive. Have fun, boys. And as I pop the second one, I hear, hey! Bro, I ran so fast. You ever run so fast you fall? Your legs can't keep up with yourself? I'm running so fast, my feet weren't even, because I don't know if this guy's going to pop a shot off or if he's 6 feet behind me with a little baseball bat. You know what I mean? Yeah, I did like tumble roll 360 back up onto my feet and I kept running. But I would be damned if Black gets that car and I don't. Got morals and principles. Right. So in the meantime, a few days of footing it, and I would cut through like apartment complexes, because I'm walking. So in whatever way is the quickest. And I'm walking and I see a set of keys, like a fob. And I'm like,
where? On the ground?
On the ground.
Okay.
Yeah. Just in a condo complex. So I'm like, pull some lights flash. It's like a 2025 Nissan Pathfinder. I'm like, okay, cool. Leave. Don't do nothing. Right? I leave. Another couple of days go by. We did some little scam. I don't know, we ripped somebody off or something. We ended up getting a hotel. Somebody might have helped us out and got us a hotel for the night. So me and this foot dweller, bridge dweller, foot dragger, crackhead, whatever you want to call her. I slept in the chair at the hotel because she was in the bed and I didn't even want to be in the bed, but I just needed like a place of safety because I had been sleeping on porch swing at the trap house, at the drug dealer's house. So, you know what I mean? And that wasn't safe. So for at least one night of safety, we were in this hotel, right? The troglodyte. Yeah. So I like, she's like lamping, she's in this Best Western, living her best life. And I'm over here sitting in the little office chair in the corner thinking like, am I going to get through tomorrow? And then it dawned on me I had that key. So I called a cab and I had him take me to the condo complex. And I went right for that Pathfinder. And I got in it. And I said to the cab driver, I said, if you don't see me back in 5 minutes, I said, you can head out of here. I said, because I didn't know if it was going to be there. Right. It could have not have been there. Right. And so I go, there it is. I get in, I drive out at the gate. There's the cab driver, thumbs up to the cabbie, and I head back to the hotel. And when the troglodyte woke up, she was like, oh my God, we got a car. Amazing. So, off and running again. Now we're in a stolen car. And we're doing the same thing we were doing in Tyler's car. We're just, the troglodyte was connected to the underworld, people that I hope I never have to associate with again. And so she would round up this crew of boosters or whatever they want to, they like to, I guess that's what they call themselves because that sounds cooler than thief. But yeah, I mean, they were good at it. I mean, they would go and they would get us whatever we needed to get through the day. And so that goes on. And in the meantime, the drug dealer who he's also, when it would get late at night, he wouldn't want to go meet his customers. And I was hanging around. So he would be like, hey, go outside and give this to so-and-so and I'll give you this. And I would do it because it was giving me free drugs. Right. Little did I know that I could, they were watching him the whole time.
You're now a drug dealer.
Right. For no gain.
Right.
So, so we did that. The Joe Boy's got this idea. He's like, he wants to buy this car because he wants to go commit some crimes, like bang, bang crimes. Yeah. And that's why when I was finally at the end, when they arrested me and they're like, do you want to wear a wire? We'll pay you. I was like, no. He wanted to buy the car for reasons, different reasons.
Right.
And so that was my plan. That was like I was going to get a little score, I was going to sell them for $1,000.
Right.
And in 2 or 3 days that we agreed on this, he also said, here's a little of this, little of that, and a little of this. I'm going to put you up at this little motel down by the beach and just serve my few customers for me for the weekend. Me and my girl are going out of town, blah, 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 blah. I'll break you off. I'll take care. And he did.
Right.
This is one guy, I will say, scum and bag, drug dealer, but he was good to me.
Right.
I did bring him a lot of money, and probably why he was good to me, but he did look out for me. Like, even when I was down and out, he would always be like, here, man, take this, flip it, go make some money. You got something.
I feel like that's not looking out for you, but I hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean? It's not, but when you're living that way, it is.
At least he's following through what he says he'll follow through. Right.
So we go, we do it. Now we get to the motel. I back the Pathfinder in, and I had, because they were stealing everything at Walgreens and dollar stores. We always had the antibacterial wipes.
Right. So
I wiped this whole thing down, door handles, everything, right? The inside of the car. I don't want my fingerprints anywhere in this car. I'm just about to get rid of it to a killer. So I don't want my fingerprints in this car.
Right.
So I wiped this whole thing down. I have no shoes on, shorts, and a tank top. I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm standing by the driver's side between a dumpster and the car. And in pulls a Lee County sheriff. And it's like a 200 yards from the road, and the car is parked in the back of the parking spot, and she's just driving in right at it. And I just take off running. And behind me it's not the intercoastal over there, but we have waterways similar to that. So I'm running behind all these buildings, barefoot, over rocks, jumping fences again. Here we go again, running through a boatyard. I hid in a sailboat. I had the keys to the actual vehicle, so I hid them in a flower planter in case I could get back to it. I took off the tank top. I threw that away. So now I'm no shirted. Maybe I don't stand out as much. I had a big beard at the time, thicker beard than this. So after about an hour in the sailboat, like a sauna, I'm soaking wet. I get out. I make my way back to the hotel, which I only probably ran about a mile. I get back with no trouble. I don't even see a cop, right? I'm like, wow, this is bizarre. I make it back into the hotel room. I'm in the hotel room, and I swear to God, not even 10 full minutes. 4 Lee County Sheriff cars just swarm the vehicle. It'd be like the window is right there, and the vehicle's parked on the other side of that black wall.
All right.
So I'm like peeking out the blind, and I'm like watching them, and they're writing stuff down. They're in, and they're going around this whole car, right? I'm just waiting for them to knock on the door because they're going to go to the hotel desk, say whose car belonged to, what room,
right?
Knock on, right? Next thing I know, a flatbed comes. They pick it up on a flatbed, and off it goes. So I'm like, okay, all the cops leave. So I'm like, sweet, okay, cool. I guess I dodged a bullet there. So little did I know that they had me on camera at one of these runs, smoking a cigarette, leaning against the passenger side door of this said stolen vehicle. So when they were investigating the petty theft, They were looking for the vehicle that the thieves got in. They saw it was that with that plate stolen
with
me
you
next to it. So now bring you to just about the end is now I'm without vehicle. So I'm back in Pine Manor because that's like my little ecosystem, right? That's the only place I can operate. Everything I need is there. There's a 7-Eleven at the end of the block. Everything that you need in that lifestyle is right there. So about 3 days after they had taken the truck on the flatbed, we're walking. I'm walking with this other black kid that I knew, and I still had some leftovers from what Cricket is his name. That's his street name. He had given me. And I used to keep it tucked back here. And we're walking to 7-Eleven, and there's a cop sitting at 7-Eleven. So I get like 100 feet away, and I go, not right now. I turn around, and I start walking away from the 7-Eleven because I'm like, I don't even want to have any
interaction with the cops.
Right. So we're now walking away from that, and we're walking, it's about 100, we're about 100, 200 yards away, and we're approaching a 4-way intersection. We're still 50 yards from the 4-way. Out comes the cruiser, and we're walking this way, he's coming this way. He kind of glances over at me, but I have no idea there's a warrant out for me, and I thought I dodged the whole thing with the car thing, right? So as he gets to the 4-way intersection, I notice he swings wide, and I'm already starting to think, and I see he goes like this. And as he goes like this, he hits, Lee County Sheriff, get on the ground. So before he even fully turns his vehicle in a full sprint, gone. I don't even know how. Now I'm going behind houses. I don't even know. I got the most jacked super cop on the force, apparently, that day.
Right.
The guy was like 22 years old. Now, I had a good 100-yard jump, and I'm zigging and zagging. And we come around the side of a house, and he's right there.
Right.
I don't know if he just guessed and cut some distance off, and he hits me like Ray Lewis. And boom, knocks me. Luckily, he didn't wrap me up. He hits me, and I bounce a good 10 feet away from him. And there was a car in the driveway. So now I'm on one side of the car. He's on the other side of the car. He's got his taser out. He's like, get on the ground. And we're doing the dance. He's going one way. I'm going the other way. Every time he goes one way, I'm going the other way. I got drugs on me.
Right.
So I get myself to the driver's side back wheel. And he's calling back up. He's on his radio. Right. I go, okay. And I grab it. And as I go under the car, I stuffed it in the spring. It was like a little purse, like a woman's purse.
Right.
Zipper purse, like a change purse. And I stuffed it in the spring, and I scrambled about 5 feet away like a roll, and I just laid there. And he came down, dropped a knee on me, and cuffed me and picked me up by the cuffs, made fun of me. I told me I smelled, and that's that, because I probably did. I lived on the street for the last week. And so they never found it. I sat in the cop car at the scene for 3 hours. They brought a dog. There's over a dozen cops because they knew I ran to throw something.
Yeah.
Right. They never found it. Never found it. Nothing. So I go to jail. I'm in there for about 3 months. My second day in jail, I'm starving, mind you. Right. So it's chow time, lunch comes down. Everybody gets their tray, goes to their table, eats their slop, right? So I'm like this. I grab 2 trays, walk over, boom, start eating. I just happened to catch Deputy Dewey with a hair across his butt. He comes over, makes a big scene, interrupting count, theft. He hit me with 4 DRs and sent me to the hole for 75 days. My 4-month jail sentence there for that time, I spent 75 of those days in the hole. My lawyer did it, I don't know. He gets me the 4 months and released on the account that I go to Naples and I do a 1-year program, this Christian cult work camp. Okay? No. Again, I'm not good with these places.
Right.
We know this. It's not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. So I do the first 30 days, no phone calls to the outside world. You're a slave. We're going to pray all your problems away. The whole deal. It's like a power trip thing. It's all just a weird dynamic. So it gets to the 30th day where they move you from one location to the other location where you spend 5 months, and it's like you get more privileges, you get visits, you get, it gets better, right? And now you've made friends with this 20 guys in your group that are all going to the next phase, and they go, this is the morning where my bags are packed. We're all getting on the bus at 6:30 in the morning. Everyone's getting on the bus. Smith, you come in the office? I go in the office. Yeah, we're not going to send you out to phase 2. We think you have an ego problem. We think you have too much. Your pride is your biggest problem. You don't heed to this, that, and the third. Now, mind you, the judge said, if I don't complete this program, I'm going to jail and I'm possibly going to prison. And so I'm like, no, don't, please give me, like, I can do it. I can do this, like, because they're like saying, I don't think this is for you. Maybe your lawyer can get you in another program. And I'm like, no. He tried everything. This is the only program he could get me in. Sure, arrest me. I didn't want to come here. And so they go, okay, you're going to do another 30 days in this bullshit.
Right.
Of like scrubbing bathrooms, like just rules you would give your 13-year-old. You know what I mean? I get it. They're trying, but come on, Matt. Listen, I know it's tough. It's tough being me sometimes. Yeah. So I convince them. They give me another 30 days. Now, when I got picked up, I got picked up by a guy in the program from jail because I had to go from jail to this program. And he's been in the program for like 7 months. First thing he does, bro, you want a cigarette? Yeah. Right. We're smoking, we're ripping butts the whole way back to Naples. We're smoking. He's like, when I started, you could smoke, but now they got this rule. They took nicotine away. So your first 30 days, they wean you off it. And then it's no nicotine for the last 11 months. I'm like, really? That friggin' sucks. But meanwhile, during the day, it's coordinated with like a homeless shelter. So during the day, you go to the homeless shelter and you serve the homeless and you do volunteer crap. Right. They all smoke and they'd be like they know that we're in the program. So they're giving us cigarettes and it's no big deal. As long as you don't get caught, you're not going to be fine, right? Day 30, second time, they nicotine test me.
Right.
And I fail. And they go, get in the van. We're bringing you to your probation off. First, they try to slick one. They didn't even tell me. They go, hey, come out here. I get in the van with Dustin. Hey, Dustin, what's up? He goes, hey, I don't know how to tell you this, Nate. Because he was nice and he liked me. And he was genuinely a good guy. Not all there, so he kind of drank the Kool-Aid. But he's like, yeah, you failed the nicotine test, man. They're kicking you out. They want me to take you to your probation officer right now, who's going to take me right to jail. I go, dude, I will jump out of this van at the next stop sign if that's where you're really taking me. I go, you take me back to the office, and I'm calling my lawyer before I do anything. Takes me back to the office, call the lawyer. Lawyer's like, nothing I really can do for you. He says, tell your probation officer what's going on. Yada, yada. Long story short. I go get a job. I'm doing really good. Great people, great company. It's waiting tables. It's nothing special, but it's a job. And they like me and they're really good people. So he writes a great letter for me. Now I've been out 4 months since I got kicked out of the program and I'm still showing up to probation. I'm paying my fines.
Right.
It just hadn't got back to the judge yet.
Right.
My probation officer's like, hey, as long as you're paying your fines and this is fine with me because you're in a halfway house. I was in a halfway house. So she goes, yeah, you're good. So next month, I'll see you next month. So next month came and I woke up that morning and I had like $600 and I used to hide it because I didn't need that money everywhere I went. But for some reason that morning, I said, I'm going to take it with me. And I went down to probation just like a normal day. And she's like, hey, Mr. Smith, see you in a few minutes. I'm like, okay, just fill out your paper. Filled out my paper. And then she come down the hall, got me, Mr. Smith, come on. And we go walking back to her office. And as soon as we round the corner, there's two big burly Naples police officers with their badges on their neck. And the warrant had been put out for violating probation by getting kicked out of the program for nicotine, for a cigarette.
Right.
Right. So off I go to now. I had problems in Charlotte County with the check, and I had problems in Lee County with the automobile. So I have cases in 2 counties. So I spent a week in Naples while they're deciding who gets me first, and they send me up to Charlotte County. And I do 6.5 months. I do from like May to September in Charlotte County. And meanwhile, my lawyer's working behind the scenes, all this, and I'm just telling him, I'll sit here until it's done. I don't want paper. Don't let me back out on paper. I'll sit here until it's done. And he's like, I'll try to get you the best deal I can. He goes, but you score out, you're like 2 points above what could send you to prison.
Right.
So, but he ended up somehow finagling the whole thing where I ended up doing a year and getting it wrapped up. So what I did was I did like 5 with Charlotte, and then I did like 5.5, 6. It ended up being like 315 days total, just over 10 months of time in Charlotte and Lee County, just wrapping it up, getting it done. Walked out of there on February. I was supposed to get out on February. I ended up getting in trouble and buying myself. They took away some good time. So I ended up getting out the day after Valentine's of 2020 and never looked back. I got out and I had all that clean time, because even when I got kicked out of the program for the nicotine, I never went back to using. So this time when I went to jail, I was sober.
Right.
So I just kept running with it. Right. And just got out. I didn't have anything when I did get out. My aunt gave me $100 bill.
Right.
And I used that to get my first week's rent at the halfway house down in Naples, a little cockroach infested dump. But I did that because the job said they would hold it for me. Imagine that. The restaurant, they liked me so much in those 3 months that they said, Nate, just get through this. We will have a job for you when you get out. Regardless if we have enough servers or not, we will give you your job back when you get out. And they put money on my books while I was in jail. My last paycheck came while I was in jail. They put it on my books. They sent me a care package. When I got out of jail, I was working within a week back at that restaurant, and I stayed at that halfway house. The pandemic kicked in. I lost the job at the restaurant because it shut down. And in Florida, you have to have like 5 months continuous work in order to collect unemployment.
Right.
I had like 2 months.
Right.
So I couldn't collect unemployment. So I got 2 goose eggs while everybody else was getting these big fat unemployment checks. I got nothing, nada. It's amazing that I didn't revert back to bad ways then, because I was like really scraping to get by. But I was able to get into a 1-bedroom studio apartment from that roach infested motel halfway house thing. And then I met Jill, and then during the pandemic, we bought a motorhome and traveled around the whole entire United States, 35, how many miles? 30,000 miles? Something like that in 3.5 months. And we went from Naples to Oregon to LA to Vegas, back to Oregon, Michigan, Cincinnati, 3.5 months. Saved up money with that. And we came back and we bought a house, and the rest is history. She was working remote at the time, so she was able to work while we traveled. And then she got back. We thought we had a game plan to live on her salary and make this trip, but we quickly found out that gas was going to be way too expensive. We were never going to be able to make it out west. So I went online and I found UShip and Shipley. They're like these websites where you want to send this mic tripod to Colby in Kentucky, and UPS wants $600 because of the shape and the weight of it. You go on this site and you put it up. It's like an auction.
Right.
And guys bid. I'll do it for $200.
Right. Head that way anyway.
Yeah. So I based our whole trip off of that.
Right.
So every night we would park, I'd go on and I would find something going in the vicinity that we're going. So I just kept piggybacking that off that and ended up making 10 grand doing those deliveries on that trip on top of her salary. So we were able to, enjoy the trip and come back with a little bit of money and buy a house. And and the rest is history. I mean, you don't have to go live that life if you don't want to. Now it's a decision. Now, but it wasn't,
right.
Like all those crazy times where you kept saying like, you're laughing and it is funny because I was looking at it like, I don't belong here, but I did belong there,
Your attitude is the most funny.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you believe they kicked me out? Well, you didn't follow any of the rules. So
no, it's totally my personality, and probably how I ended up there in the first place, So it's all just about being conscious of your character defects and not letting them control you and dictate who you are.
Right.
I never went through the 12 steps. I never got a sponsor. I never did it the way my sister did it. And it goes up her butt a mile that, she's old school AA. You got to give back and you got to have a sponsor, then be a sponsor. It's the only way you can get clean and sober is if you get through these 12 steps. And yes, it's a very good way to get sober and clear your mind and fix relationships, but it's not what everybody needs. It's a decision. It was jail for me. I got sick and tired of jail.
Right.
I was like, if this is the alternative, that really doesn't make me feel that good.
All right.
When ultimately it leaves me here eating something I can't even make out off a plastic tray that has dried food from the last meal on it. I mean, but that's my story and it's not over yet.
Right.
I'm only 44, so this could just be part one.
Oh God, I hope not. Well, listen, how do you feel? Okay. Is there anything else you want to?
No, yeah, I hope it was
No,
good.
no, it was definitely entertaining.
Yeah. I left out some stuff because I got jumbled in my timeline, but nothing. I hit all the high points.
Right.
Like the taser tag with the cop and the valet story down in.
Did you have any social media or anything?
I don't, but Jill, if you could give me Justin's number, I would love to give Justin's number for anybody out there that is struggling. You call this number and this man answers the phone 24 hours a day.
Want his number? Does he want his number?
No, Justin, no, he does.
He does?
They are truly devoted in helping people. And they are the only people that I would ever recommend. I would never say, go to the Christian place down in Naples.
All right. Here. We'll play.
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah. Hold on. All right. All right. Hey, thank you guys for watching. Do me a favor, if you like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Share the video. Leave me a comment. Also, Nate's brother-in-law, Justin, he runs several rehabs. Maybe there's one near you. Maybe you need it. We're going to leave his phone number, assuming he's okay with the phone number being placed, or an email or whatever. We'll leave the link in the description box so you can click on that if you need help. Also, please consider joining my Patreon. It's $10 a month. We put Patreon exclusive content. It's only $10. I really appreciate it. Helps Colby and I make these videos. Thank you very much. See ya.